If you guys had to pick your favorite location in Dragon Ball Z to train, what would it be? There's so many options, like King Kai's planet, Master Roshi's island, hell, even Whis' staff from Dragon Ball Super. My favorite would have to be the Room of Spirit and Time, otherwise known as the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. A room with intense gravity, strange environments, and, most importantly, the time dilation ability to get an entire year's worth of training in only a single day. Thinking about how this room aided Goku and the Z-Fighters in getting so much stronger, it got me and my best buddy Zether here thinking about what if Naruto Uzumaki, and Jiraiya from the world of Naruto were to find the Room of Spirit and Time and train inside it at some point during their journey. How would the Hyperbolic Time Chamber affect the world of Naruto as a whole, and Naruto as a character? I hope you guys enjoy the story we've created for you today, for what if Naruto trained in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. As the sun's beginning to set, we hear the roar of triumph as Gamabunta and Naruto are having their final bout, with Gamabunta trying to shake the young boy off of his forehead, saying, "Get off me, you dumb brat!" Naruto would stick on as hard as he can, using his chakra in his hands and feet and standing on top of the giant toad. As the sun would finally begin to set, he would have succeeded in the trial, that is, of standing atop Gamabunta to be recognized as a proper summoner of the Toad Summoning Jutsu. With that, Gamabunta would set Naruto down, congratulating him and saying that he passed his test. He's really got some guts. Naruto would barely be standing as he falls to the ground with his thumb up in the air, sweat trickling down his forehead and through his ninja headband as he screams, "All right!" After that, Jiraiya would finally begin to stroll over, with him having closely been following Naruto and Gamabunta's challenge. "Hey Naruto, you actually did it. I'm kind of impressed. Gamabunta's quite the tough cookie, you know." Gamabunta would wave, saying, "See ya, kid," as he vanishes into a puff of smoke. Naruto would laugh, saying, "Yeah, I barely had that covered," and Jiraiya would help him to his feet. "Well, you've got one jutsu under your belt. Isn't that the strength you were looking for? And you've still got almost more than a month left until the Chunin exams. What do you want to do now?" "Well, I still have plenty of more I need to work on if I want to catch up to Sasuke and that guy, Neji." With that, Naruto and Jiraiya would look at each other as the sun finally now reached the end of its set. With night beginning to fall in, Naruto would realize how late it was, saying, "Oh crud, we need to get back to the village!" But with both of them looking to nowhere in sight, the closest thing they could see of civilization would be a tall smokestack, and the silhouette of some odd structure, neither of which they recognized. Well, I've never seen anyone living out this part of the Land of Fire before, but it's better than nothing. And frankly, I only like camping out in the countryside with cute girls. Pervy sage," Naruto would grunt, as the two of them would then walk toward the smokestack, hoping for some food and some friendly people. As they approached, they'd see a large, strange structure, different from the houses they're used to seeing in the Land of Fire. It would be collapsible. It would have tall wooden spokes. It would have interesting red and blue color schemes decorating it. A tall man with a spear and an interesting bone necklace would walk out. He'd have red tribal markings across his face. As he'd look and recognize them as Shinobi, he'd point his spear out, with a young boy at his feet. "Upa, stay back," the man would say, as he points toward the two Shinobi. Naruto and Jiraiya would hold their hands up, saying, They're just looking for a place to stay for the night," with Naruto laughing. The man would recognize this being a young child, feeling pity for the young Shinobi. He'd decide that it can't be too dangerous, having not seen their kind in quite a long time, and these two seem friendly. He'd ask Upa if he's alright, with Naruto and Upa being now introduced to each other, and Jiraiya sitting next to him as well, asking who the two are, and what is this place, referring to the incredibly tall stone pillar they saw approaching this now house. The man would explain, over dinner, now getting into the depths of their history and what this tower is. "This is called Korin's Tower. It's been here for as long as I've been around, my father and his father before him. It's said that if a warrior climbs this tower, they'll gain ultimate power, and even have a chance at meeting God, the god of this world." "The god?" Naruto would sit up. "What does that mean?" Jiraiya would wonder if this has anything to do with the Sage of Six Paths, remembering his time with Nagato, Konan, and the Rain Trio. That's pretty interesting. I haven't heard of a story like that," Jiraiya would say. As the two would continue talking, nightfall would quickly come, as Uppa, Naruto, the tall man, and Jiraiya would all lay down, now settling in for the night and waking up the next morning. As they were prepared to leave, Naruto would take one last look at the tower, saying, "You know, Pervy Sage, maybe it's worth giving it a try and climbing it. I mean, it could be some pretty good training, right? And I still have some time left." Jiraiya would turn, looking at the strange tower with its different markings unfamiliar to him. It's kind of dangerous, but we do have some time. Would you mind if we attempted climbing the tower? He'd ask. They'd both laugh, with saying that none of their family has ever been able to climb the tower before them, having fallen after about 15 meters or so. Naruto would grin, saying, "Yeah, I've got this," as he runs up to the tower and begins sticking his feet on it. He'd use chakra, and pushing it into his feet would easily attach to the tower, as the two would begin to climb.
It'd be at this point that Naruto and Jiraiya would begin their ascent. As their feet would be coated in chakra to stick onto the surface, they would go climbing. And the more that they would get higher, the more clean the place would look. And towards the bottom of this massive looking beam tower thing, it would be kind of rubble-like. It's a bit destroyed and a bit scruffy looking, almost like an abandoned town or village. But the higher they would get, almost as if it was a very, very different tower, it would start becoming more white, the marble would look better, and overall it just had a cooler look. As they would get higher and higher, eventually Naruto would start gassing out, with Jiraiya saying, "Naruto, do you want to give up? This is pretty high and it looks like we've still got a long way to go." But Naruto, wiping sweat off his brow, would say, "Don't worry about me, Jiraiya-sensei, believe it, I'm going to be making it to the top, no problem." So Jiraiya, trusting in the young Naruto, would tell him, "Alright, but if you need any help, don't come crawling to me." Naruto would say, "Don't worry about it, I won't need it." But just a few minutes later, we'd flash forward to Naruto being carried by the Toad Sage, who, wrapping him up in his hair, using another jutsu in tandem with his ability to climb up, he'd be helping the young Naruto make it to the top, with the end almost in sight. He'd be scrunching so hard as he'd be like, "Naruto, can you start climbing by yourself again? It's becoming so difficult I might fall off, and honestly, if we fall from this height, we're both dead." Naruto, feeling the fear, would instantly be like, "Yeah," as he would start climbing up the tower himself, his feet now pressing against them way better, and it'd be very tense. Naruto doing it so carefully as to make sure he didn't fall. Once his grippers would finally grab onto the tower, he would begin going up higher and higher. Yeah, his grippers. He'd begin going up higher and higher, and as they would make it to the summit, Naruto would say, What's this?" They would make it up top to this weird looking abandoned area, which we all know as the lookout from Dragon Ball. But a few things are going to be changing, because in this timeline there's not going to be any Korin, meaning that there's no senzu beans, and there's not going to be any Popo, that strange, the backside of the moon looking guy, and there's definitely not going to be a Kami, because that's just not going to be happening. However, much like Weeb alluded to, this is the old resting place of the legendary Sage of the Six Paths. And once Naruto and Jiraiya would make it up here, I could see Jiraiya and Naruto both kind of like emptying and squeezing out the fabric of their headbands, as sweat would begin pouring out, looking like it was a headband, or no, not headband, what is it, Weeb? A sweatband?
Like a sweatband, or maybe a sponge.
Yeah, kind of like that. They're like squeezing it out like it was a sponge with water and soap. Eventually,
nasty.
Naruto, sitting on the ground, would say, "I'm beat, Jiraiya. You think I became super strong after climbing?" To which Jiraiya, turning to Naruto, would say, "If any of us had become stronger, it probably would have been me, because I actually did the climb. I helped you about 20% of the way." Naruto, turning to him, would say, "But come on, I still climbed about 80% of this tower, Jiraiya. I mean, that's gotta count for something, right?" Jiraiya, turning to Naruto, would say, "Whatever." As he'd say, "Well, now that we're up here, it's not like we're gonna get down anytime soon, so we might as well just use our time wisely and explore this place. Can't imagine it gets more dangerous from this point forward." Jiraiya would have just said that outwardly, but inwardly, he'd be thinking that maybe if that wasn't the test climbing up the tower, maybe it's what they'll find up here. So after about a 30-minute break, Jiraiya and Naruto would finally get up, with an enthusiastic Naruto going, "Come on, Jiraiya-sensei, let's look in the tower." And as they would explore these empty rooms, they would see kind of nothingness. It looked a little bit worn out, but overall it kind of did look a little nice, I guess. As they would explore more and more rooms, this is when suddenly they would see a strange room. 2 massive doors, the ones that Jiraiya had been a little apprehensive to walk inside, seeing as he had thought that there might have been a threat in there. But when they would open the room and they would step inside, they'd be greeted to, well, nothingness. It's just white. There's nothing there.
Naruto and Jiraiya walk into this empty white space. The light, now forcing their eyes to adjust from the darkness, would be jarring. As Naruto would step into the room, he'd immediately feel the difference. He'd be the first one to explore, Jiraiya being more cautious. "Hey, pervy sage, it's... whoa!" Naruto would begin to crumple as he feels his weight going to his knees. What's the deal with this room? It's massive! I don't see an end to it! He'd turn, looking left and right, seeing nothing. As he turned around looking up from the door they came, he'd see a massive rounded building with a golden roof, at the top being a 2-handed clock. Naruto, looking around, would feel this incredible weight on him, that being the increased gravity of the time chamber, that being the Hyperbolic Time Chamber from Dragon Ball. As Naruto and Jiraiya would wander around inside the room looking to see if there was any other entrances or anything in this room at all, Jiraiya would notice even he himself was struggling, feeling his chakra draining out of his body even faster than normal. Something's up with this room. This is not normal. Something's here, he'd think. He'd turn around looking at the door they'd come in with Naruto now beginning to get exhausted. He'd fall, almost now unable to move, saying, Pervy Sage, I can barely even stand. With Naruto barely able to handle the heat in here, the temperature and the wild environment of this room was even getting to Jiraiya. Let's go out and see how long we've been in here. It's been at least 6 hours. With the two of them having spent so much time investigating the room, it would take some more time for them to get back. As they'd arrive back to the door at the entrance of the room, Jiraiya would open it, feeling the sweat dripping down his face, as himself and Naruto would exit the room, feeling a gasp of cold air. It was still dawn. After that long climb up the tower, the time had seemingly been the same, but that was impossible. Had it been a whole day inside the room? What was going on? In order to test this theory, this is when Jiraiya would use his summoning jutsu, summoning a toad from Mount Miyaboku and asking what the time was, making sure that he hadn't spent an entire day in there for what had felt like 6 hours. The toad would laugh, saying, Jiraiya, we just talked this morning. It was only about 6 hours ago. What? That's impossible, Jiraiya would be thinking. That was before he'd even started the climb. That was not even that long ago, and they'd spent so long in the room. Something's going on here. Jiraiya would turn back to the door, asking Naruto to step aside, as he de-summoned the toad. He'd analyze the door, holding his palm against it, and feeling the thrum of chakra. This chakra was even more powerful than any he had sensed before, and the reason his apprehension had been so high. As he pulled his eye closer to the door, he'd see thousands of tiny seals. These seals being so intricate and complex, he could barely even understand what they were to begin with. It was clearly made by a genius, a master of the craft. It was impossible. As Jiraiya then moved back from the door, he'd begin to realize something. Hey, Naruto, I want you to go into the room and stay in there for about 3 hours. Huh? We just got out! I'll die, it's so hot in there! Just sit by the weird box over there and drink something, I don't know. Jiraiya would push Naruto back into the room and seal the door. As he sits waiting, in just a mere second, Naruto would open the door again. It's gotta have been 3 hours by now. I'm dying, Jiraiya-sensei. What were you even doing out here? I was right. Jiraiya would be shocked. This was incredible. He'd never heard of a space like this. Some kind of time ninjutsu seal. This room has the ability to dilate time. Hey Naruto, you said you wanted to use the rest of this month training, right? I think I can afford the time to spare with ya. What do you think we train inside here? Train in there? We could barely even stand in there. How is that? Well, maybe that's the type of training we needed from this tower. You said you wanted to get super strong, right? Well, this might be the way to do it. As Jiraiya would walk into the room of Naruto, The two would begin training for as long as possible until they could barely even manage to hold inside of the room, with Jiraiya realizing that about 2 months inside of the room equivalent to about 3 hours outside. It was pretty insane. The amount of time that they now had to train for the next remainder of the month was enough to give Jiraiya time to actually train Naruto properly in the years he had been gone, all while maintaining his spy network, which was the reason he never returned to the Leaf Village to begin with. If I can only spend a couple hours in here and get months of training in, Naruto would look now back to Jiraiya Sensei, the two of them clearly able to stand in the room now, their clothes all disheveled from training together, sparring, fighting, and practicing their chakra control. Jiraiya would ask Naruto how long he thinks they can stay in there this time, with the two of them now agreeing to stay in for another year, seeing how long that would equate to in the real world. As one day passes in our world, well, in Naruto's world, the door will once again open, with Jiraiya and a much taller looking Naruto, now about, 14 years old, would now stand out, with Naruto looking at his shortened pants and saying that he definitely feels stronger as he jumps up, easily clearing 5 to 10 feet into the air without any chakra, purely from his physical strength of training inside the time chamber. Jiraiya would laugh, saying they've definitely gotten stronger, but we still have a long way to go, explaining to Naruto that he has some things he'd like to pass on to him, now that the two of them have managed to grow strong enough to actually stand within this room, the time chamber. Naruto and Jiraiya would re-enter the room. Welcome to What If Naruto Trained in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. And so, Naruto and Jiraiya had spent 3 years training inside the Hyperbolic Time Chamber with increased gravity. What has Naruto learned? How strong has Jiraiya become? And where does the story go now with an older Naruto compared to the rest of his peers who has the power of the time chamber on his side? Naruto and Jiraiya would now disappear from our sight as we return back to the Leaf Village, where the Chunin exams are finally about to take place 2 months after the second exam. As all of the tests begin, we see Shikamaru versus Temari, we see all the classic fights, right? That is, until we get to Naruto Uzumaki versus Neji Hyuga. Everyone's looking around wondering where Naruto is and if he's actually going to show up or miss it, with Sasuke and Kakashi still missing as well. Of course, their training was much shorter than our anticipated hero. As Neji stands in the arena, now laughing out loud, he'd say mockingly, I guess he got scared and ran away. Well, that's what you get when you mess with fate. I'm a genius and he was just a little failure. Who are you calling a failure, Neji? As Neji would make fun of Naruto saying he must have run away, we'd suddenly see a blur of yellow. As dust would swirl inside the arena, Jiraiya and Naruto would be standing, Jiraiya's back to the young man. However, he was much taller than what we had anticipated. A black hood covering him, as golden hair would leak out the sides, long from the 3 years of it being untamed. As the hood would lower, the crowd would gasp, Hiruzen whispering audibly, Minato? As we see a Naruto post 3 years of training inside the time chamber. He'd be taller as he laughs, saying, No, Neji, I didn't run away at all. In fact, I was getting ready just for our fight. I spent a whole 2 months training. Neji would be astonished. You're Naruto Uzumaki? That's impossible. Did he pay you off to be some stunt double? You don't even look the same or sound the same. It's been 2 months. Like I'd believe that. Naruto would grin as he holds out his thumb saying, It's me, Naruto Uzumaki, alright. Believe it. Hey, Jiraiya Sensei. How about you get out of the arena so I can begin my fight, alright? As Neji and Naruto would face each other, the fight would begin to count down, as it's been confirmed by Jiraiya, who still looks relatively the same, that this is in fact Naruto Uzumaki. Being a Sannin, his opinion would be law. As Neji would gulp looking up at the pretty much adult figure now facing him, the crowd would be interested in seeing this genius of the Hyuga versus this freak growth spurt of this random shinobi. Although his familiarity to that of the Yellow Flash, the late 4th Hokage, was starting to cause some unease in the crowd. As the fight would begin, Neji would say, I'm not scared of you just because you got a little bigger. 32 trigrams, 64 palms, as he tries to tap Naruto's chakra points. As he hits all of his chakra points, that is, until Naruto saying a gasp would vanish. It was an after image. What are you aiming at, Neji? What? That's impossible! With my Byakugan, I should have... he had moved faster than Neji could perceive with his Byakugan. His pure speed and strength was outblitzing that of the dojutsu of the Hyuga clan. Everyone was shocked seeing this incredible speed. Could this really be the Yellow Flash? No one had even seen him move. The afterimage being so real and lifelike, they thought he had been hit. As Neji would turn, he'd then run forward again using his Hyuga-style taijutsu, trying to tap Naruto's chakra points. But Naruto with one hand would easily move out of the way, pushing his fingers around as if though they were chalk on a chalkboard. Neji was shocked. How is this possible? I'm completely outmatched. He's even faster than Guy-sensei. Guy would be watching from the crowd interested, as we see Guy and Rock Lee, who his leg is still broken from his fight with Gaara, as he would really yell out saying, "Naruto, you did it! You became stronger than a genius! I knew you could do it!" As Naruto would be enjoying this fight, Hinata would be, well, in awe of, for one, Naruto's appearance, blushing and saying he's even more attractive than last time they met, wondering if this is even possible, how he looks so mature. Sakura would be shocked, basically stunned speechless, saying, That's Naruto? There's no way, he's so smooth! Even Tenten would be speechless, not even glazing Neji. The rest of the contestants would be surprised. As Naruto would continue playing with Neji, the time to end the fight would slowly come. And since he had so much training for the last 3 years, it's not even a contest. He doesn't even need to use the Nine Tails power. As he simply moves in close to Neji, Neji could only think that, I'm a genius at close range combat! This is impossible! As he's about to be taken down, Naruto would teleport behind him, seemingly out of his range, as he then uses a palm strike into Neji's back. Neji would go flying across the dirt and sand, causing blood and skid marks to appear on his forearm as he crashes into the arena wall, unconscious. Stop! The winner is Uzumaki Naruto! The crowd would be stunned silent, watching this, well, abuse of a fight as Naruto would hold his hand up, screaming out, saying he did it. He avenged Hinata and defeated Neji, proving that even a unlamed user like himself who had to pass the graduation exam 3 times and still failed was able to beat a genius. Although the crowd now felt slightly conflicted concerning the age gap. Anyway, that is the end of the Naruto versus Neji fight, with Jiraiya being impressed and proud of Naruto for holding back so much of his strength, barely even using any of his true potential yet, only using physical taijutsu in this confrontation. Gaara would now be a bit concerned, as the Sand Trio would be nervous, wondering if this is going to prove a problem. Anyway, as Gaara and Sasuke's fight would eventually come, Sasuke and Kakashi would do their teleportation into the arena thing, but no one was impressed this time. Everyone would be like, oh yeah, we've seen this already, causing Kakashi to be confused. Huh? Someone stole my drip technique? This has never happened to me before. Huh. Well, Sasuke, good luck. Sasuke would be confused, wondering where his hype man went, as the fight between Sasuke and Gaara would begin. What happens from here, now getting into the Gaara fight and the Konoha Crush plan?
Well, what happens from here is that the same exact things happen. Literally everything goes the same. It's almost like a mirror of the one that we get in the original timeline, because Sasuke versus Gaara fight doesn't change. It's not like he's had some crazy training. However, what happens after the fact definitely does, because Naruto and Jiraiya's being here during the Chunin exams would change a lot. Remember, you're saying that Jiraiya was there to witness things, right? Did he end up leaving or did he stay?
Nah, he definitely stayed this time. He spent way more time with Naruto, and they have like the same relationship that they have from the original like Shippuden timeline now, because they've spent so much time together. Their relationship is way more developed than it was in just part 1. So there's no reason he wouldn't stay. Plus he knows Naruto's going to win, so he'll be there to cheer
He kind of
him on.
wants to watch and just kind of like be like, yes, I trained him, to sit there and soak up all the glory. But anyways, with Naruto and Jiraiya being there, 2 battles changed drastically. One of them not even being called a fight, which is going to be the Naruto versus Gaara fight, which I'm going to be getting into, as well as the Jiraiya and Hiruzen versus Orochimaru fight, which is going to be absolutely insane. Just to even think about how much more powerful Jiraiya has gotten over the 3 years. If that's how strong Naruto's gotten, now just think about Jiraiya. So let's get into it. As soon as Gaara would leave the village, he would start rushing towards the forest, losing himself to the One-Tails, and as Sasuke would begin chasing after him, Naruto, being signaled by Kakashi to go save him, would rush after him. Jiraiya, seeing everything going on in the chaos, would immediately rush to Hiruzen's side. So when the Sound Four would use their sealing technique or whatever it was that they had created, like a barrier for everybody not to be inside, Jiraiya and Hiruzen would stand there, as Orochimaru would think, Jiraiya, didn't expect you to get involved, but it's not like it's gonna be causing a problem now, is it? In this moment, Orochimaru would lick his lips as Jiraiya, staring at Orochimaru would lick his lips as Orochimaru would lick his lips as, staring at Jiraiya, he would wonder just how much he's changed in these years. And funny enough, it's not like he's talking about the time chamber. He's simply talking about the time that he hasn't seen his good old buddy. But before we do that, let's do Naruto. Naruto, chasing behind Sasuke, would grow from tree branch to tree branch, not even allowing Gaara or Sasuke to get much distance between them. This is when Kankuro, attempting to stop Naruto, would get in the way, saying, "Naruto, you're not gonna..." But before anything could happen, Naruto, with one hand creating a Rasengan, would slam it into Kankuro's...
Wait. What did he say? Did you just say the Rasengan?
Naruto, with one hand, would create the Rasengan, slamming it into Kankuro's stomach as he would send the dude flying. "Out of the way, small fry!" He would send Kankuro into a tree fully unconscious as he would continue chasing after Sasuke and Gaara, having been taught the technique within the walls of the time chamber. Naruto at this point would now stand before Sasuke and Gaara as he would watch their fight, ready for the moment when Sasuke needs his help, because he understood just how powerful the Jinchuriki can be. And so, as the battle would advance and Sasuke would begin losing himself more and more to the power of the curse mark, Naruto, before he could attempt to even clash with Gaara, would appear right next to Sasuke, knocking him out as he would be about to attempt his Chidori strike. Mid-momentum, Naruto would then take Sasuke and then put him on the floor, as now looking up to Gaara, who's on a tree branch, he would stare at him with intent to destroy him. He would give him one warning: stand down, or else, Gaara. However, Gaara's maniacal grin would not leave his face, as he would tell him that Mother needs his blood. It's at this point that Gaara would rush at Naruto, as sending his arm turning to sand would grasp onto him. However, a substitution would occur, and Naruto would stand right behind Gaara, a kunai in hand, looking just like the Yellow Flash. Gaara, with the sand sweat coming down his face, would turn around, only to see that Naruto was now in front of him with a Rasengan in tow, slamming it straight into his stomach as Gaara would be sent into a tree, crashing through 3 different objects. It's at this point that Naruto standing above Gaara would actually cause him to cower in fear, as Gaara would say, "What? You're not Naruto. You're a demon." But Naruto in this moment would smile, saying that he's half right. It's at this point that Naruto would begin to prepare himself for the finishing blow, but Gaara, using the sand in the ground, would wrap it around Naruto's legs, as he would smirk, thinking that that's checkmate. He would then try to crush Naruto by his legs, just like he would have done to Gaara, but Naruto would say, "Really? You think that'd work?" Kicking the sand away as though it was nothing. Naruto, now staring at Gaara, would tell him that he picked the wrong fight, as he would then knock Gaara out, which unfortunately for Naruto would end up releasing Shukaku, realizing that what he had just done had completely awakened Shukaku. Naruto, now staring at the behemoth in front of him, would facepalm as he would think to himself that Jiraiya is going to make so much fun of him if he found out about this. But as he would look to his left and his right, he could see that nobody's here to report this. So, summoning Gamabunta, Naruto would cause the same exact scenario that plays out in the original to happen. He would cause Gamabunta to hold Shukaku in place with the Kurama transformation, as he would then speed blitz to Gaara without the sand causing any problems at all, knocking him back into consciousness and giving him his patented Talk no Jutsu. This would change Gaara's entire philosophy, and this is when the Sand siblings would end up arriving to pretty much save Gaara and take him away. As this would be taking place, we would now cut right back to Jiraiya versus Orochimaru, because it's going to be the new name of this fight, because Hiruzen, he doesn't even matter at this point. Jiraiya would sit down on the ground as with the scroll he would open it in front of himself, asking himself what jutsu he should use on Orochimaru. It's at this point that Orochimaru, staring at Jiraiya, would ask him why he's so cocky, that he always has been the stronger of the two. But instantly, Jiraiya would tap into perfect Sage mode, having learned how to do this over the 3-year time skip that he would have shared with Naruto inside of the time chamber. Having nothing but time, there was no more excuses or any reasons why Jiraiya wouldn't learn this. So, now tapping into this newfound power, this would cause Orochimaru to feel fear. He would say, "What? Jiraiya, you mastered it?" And it'd be at this point that Orochimaru would smile, saying, "No matter," as a sweat would drop down his face, summoning 2 coffins, as standing before him would now be the first and second Kage. Suddenly, another box would appear, saying 4th. Jiraiya, understanding that that's the last person he wants to go up against in this moment, would rush at Orochimaru, preventing him from using his jutsu, as this battle would start immediately with 3 Jiraiya clones jumping towards the direction of each opponent, slamming a giant Rasengan into them. It'd be at this moment that Hashirama and Tobirama would be destroyed. However, Orochimaru, being the sneaky snake that he is, would end up substituting out of there just in time. And so, as Jiraiya would now stare at the bodies of the first and second Hokage, a slight look of just sadness would appear on his face. He would then use a sealing jutsu, to seal both of them up almost immediately, with Hiruzen watching on in awe. "Jiraiya, You've changed." Jiraiya's speed would be so unmatched that Orochimaru couldn't even keep up with Jiraiya, and as Jiraiya was flying around the battlefield, suddenly his hair would whip onto Orochimaru's leg, dragging him towards him, as Jiraiya in this moment, creating smoke and fire, would shoot a massive jutsu that would just incinerate Orochimaru. It's at this point that Orochimaru, attempting to substitute out, would substitute right to Jiraiya's trap. It's in this moment that a toad mouth would appear, and trapped inside of this now, this space that Orochimaru couldn't get out of, Jiraiya was now free to completely destroy him. Jiraiya would simply say, "Lights out," as he would then speed blitz him, and a massive Rasengan would completely destroy Orochimaru, leaving him unconscious and in a near-death state. This is when the toad mouth would disappear, and Jiraiya, now standing there with Orochimaru at his feet, would say that he's sorry, old friend, as he would now stare back to Hiruzen, who would say, "Jiraiya, you've changed so much. I hardly recognize you. You even look older. That's what you noticed? What? Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me that I just did all that? I used my cool one-liner and that's what you recognize? Guess things never change." It's at this point that Hiruzen, thanking Jiraiya for the help that he has just had, would pretty much bow down to him as he would thank him for the help. This is when he would go on to pretty much subtly let him know that the spot of Hokage is always open for grabs. To which Jiraiya, feeling a shiver down his spine, would go, "Gotta go." And it's at this point that the sound 4 would proceed to undo the barrier.
So, Jiraiya just took down Orochimaru, finally fulfilling his promise to his friend and, well, taking him down, having grown stronger in the last 3 years, the time that Orochimaru has not had. In those 3 years, Jiraiya had now grown to the power that he thought was unattainable for himself, through the realization of the time chamber. Although Hiruzen offered him the position of the, 5th Hokage, he told Hiruzen to keep the seat warm. His student and protege Naruto will be taking that spot in no time. As he disappears from the battlefield, saying Hiruzen can handle the rest. The Sound 4 would leap in, trying to save their master, that being Orochimaru. But with the barrier being disabled now, in their fear for the death of their master, Hiruzen would easily step in using Enma and could easily handle the Sound 4. With the Anbu now charging down to the scene, capturing Orochimaru in the same type of coat, like the straight jacket that Sasuke was placed in at the end of the war. He is completely unable to move, out of chakra and out of options. The only reason he has any hope left is that he has some now forces in reserve, such as Karin, and of course, the rest of the Sound Village. But really, what is anyone there going to do to attack the Leaf Village at this point? Orochimaru has been captured by the Leaf Village. Will he die? Will Danzo take him out? Who knows? We'll see. But for now, he is out of the picture, with the Leaf Village having taken a win in capturing one of their biggest rogue ninja of the century. Jiraiya would dip out, leaving Naruto behind. Since Hiruzen does not pass away in this timeline, there's no need for him to wait around and perhaps look for Tsunade as a replacement, with Hiruzen keeping the seat warm and dusty. Jiraiya would now return to his studies, as you could put it. Now, knowing that Naruto could easily handle any threats that the village could take in the next coming days. Of course, he's also aware of the Akatsuki, and unfortunately they don't have as much information as they would have in the 3-year time skip from the original, but he'd be confident that Naruto could handle any threat that comes after him. That is, for now. Anyway, Naruto would have taken out Gaara, now successfully turning him to the side of the light, using the ultimate Talk no Jutsu power. With that, everyone would return back to the village now as the rebuilding efforts would begin. Sasuke would be pressed. "You didn't have to knock me out. I could have handled that Joker just fine." Sasuke would look up at Naruto. It was kind of comical seeing him looking up to Naruto's height, as the older Naruto would bark back, saying, "You could barely even handle him. He was letting you live to play with you. I just saved your ass, and this is how you're treating me? Maybe I should have let you fight Gaara after all." Naruto would play back with him. Sasuke would grin, saying, "Huh? You really think so? How about we fight now?" As Sasuke would ask Naruto again and again, "How did you get this strong? What happened to you?" With Sasuke wondering in his mind how it's possible that Naruto went from this little shrimp to this fully matured adult version of himself in the span of 2 months. What had exactly happened during his training? And did Kakashi Sensei hide something from him? Did he tell Naruto a secret to gain more power? All these thoughts swirled inside of Sasuke.
Bro, this is a perfect opportunity to have a flashback scene where Naruto wants to tell Sasuke what the truth is, but Jiraiya during the time in the time chamber would have essentially told Naruto that the secret of the time chamber must not get out, because if it could fall into the wrong hands, even someone like his friends, this could be horrific for the Naruto world, considering that somebody could use this for ill purposes, someone like Orochimaru, and potentially take over the entire Shinobi world. So Naruto having these thoughts echo in his head would look at Sasuke and feel bad, like, I want to tell you so bad, Sasuke, but I just can't.
Yeah, he's cooking. Anyway, yeah, Naruto would have this internal dialogue within himself, now wanting to give Sasuke the key to the strength he had, especially since he's had so much development in the last 3 years, now viewing Sasuke as more like his friend, with him and Sakura being the closest friends Naruto's had. He really appreciates how important they are. And while he still does feel some rivalry with Sasuke, it's more like a little brother feeling now, especially because of the time that's passed for Naruto. Sasuke is still the same, but Naruto's changed. He's the older one now. He's more mature. And so Sasuke even feels this difference, this maturity even angering him more. He's not the same idiot that I knew. What happened to you, Naruto? These thoughts would swirl. Again, Sasuke would go off to brood. Sakura, Hinata, and Ino would all come up to Naruto after the fact, asking if he's really Naruto Uzumaki. Yep, the one and only, he'd say, holding a peace sign out. Hinata would be shocked she faints onto the ground, asking if it's really possible that he grew that much in 2 months. Well, you can believe it or not, but I am what you're looking at. See, I'm not even using a transformation jutsu. Watch this. He'd use his patented sexy jutsu. As Sakura would throw a punch at him, Naruto wouldn't even get knocked out this time, having gotten so much stronger. He'd deactivate the sexy jutsu, saying, "Hey, I was just kidding!" As the girls would now realize, yep, that's totally Naruto. With that, everything would end from the Konoha Crush plan, giving us an extra 2 or 3 weeks of time now, where Naruto is pretty much just experiencing his life now in the Leaf Village, while Sasuke and Sakura are retreating to regular missions. For one, Naruto and the rest of Team 7, as everything's been peaceful, times would slowly return to the mundane. That is, until a storm cloud would roll over the Leaf Village. That is that of 2 hooded figures with bells chiming off their hats and red clouds on their garb. That is the Akatsuki. See, unfortunately in the original, due to Hiruzen passing away, Itachi had been forced to come back in order to show Danzo that he was still very much alive and kicking to protect Sasuke. However, in this timeline of events, because Naruto never left the village to go and find Tsunade, they were sent to hunt down the Nine Tails as part of their excuse to travel to the Land of Fire, and would come across or look for Naruto. However, because Naruto is much older, the appearance of what they're looking for in this timeline is completely different, with them looking for someone of about the age of 12, and Naruto obviously doesn't match that description. As the Akatsuki would try and enter the village, they'd easily enter, with them being escaped by the eye of the public and not being attacked for several hours. Even Sasuke would be spotted by Itachi at an Ichiraku ramen store, where you'd see Sasuke, a girl with pink hair, and a taller man. Maybe he was a Jonin for their team? He didn't know, but he was blonde and shaggy looking. I don't remember a Jonin like that, but, well, I guess if Sasuke's alright, that's all that matters. Both Itachi and Kisame would look through the village, finding nothing. That is, until they hear a scream saying, "Hey Naruto!" It would be Konohamaru. "Konohamaru, what's up? I was just finishing lunch, you know?" "Big bro, you got so huge, I saw your fight, it was awesome! Can you show me how that move you did where you vanished?" As Konohamaru would be distracting Naruto, Itachi and Kisame had found their target, as we would get a very different Itachi and Kisame versus Naruto Uzumaki, with this taking place inside the Leaf Village. Itachi and Kisame would look to each other, as Itachi would be concerned for Sasuke, hoping that he's not still in the area. Of course, he doesn't reveal this. As Itachi would turn, saying, "Aren't you the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Let's have a chat." Naruto's eyes would flick upwards. "Yeah, I've been watching you guys. You were keeping your eyes on us that whole time in there." "Although I thought you were watching Sasuke." "Maybe I was wrong. What do you guys want with the Nine-Tails?" You see, Naruto actually knows about the Nine-Tails power now, especially since he spent so much time with Jiraiya, and Jiraiya had actually tried opening the seal. Because of the chakra drain of the time chamber, it was much easier for the seal to loosen and for Naruto to access the 1 to 3 tail state, with him reaching the same point he had by the time of Shippuden at this point. As Itachi and Kisame would walk forward, Konohamaru would step to the side. Naruto would hold his hand out saying, "Hey, Konohamaru, get out of here. Tell Sasuke and Sakura to go the other way. I'll handle this." As Sasuke would leave the borders of Ichiraku saying, "That lunch was alright, Naruto," his eyes would open, seeing a man in tall black robes with a red cloud, and hearing his voice saying the Nine Tails. As his eyes would meet, Sasuke's face, which had been filled with peace and he had been enjoying some happiness after the Konoha Crush plan, would turn to rage. "Itachi! You bastard! What the hell are you doing here?" Sasuke would bow down as he then pulls his hand to the floor. We'd hear thousands of birds chirping as lightning would begin to charge over his fist. "Don't you dare try to stop me, Naruto, or I'll run through you too! That bastard's... he's the one I want to kill. Itachi Uchiha, the one who slaughtered my entire clan." Sasuke would charge forward. He says, "I'll kill you, you bastard!" He'd try to slice the Chidori through Itachi, but all he'd hit were crows. "Sasuke, you're attacking the air." Naruto would be chuckling, as Kisame would turn, looking at Sasuke, who'd be stunned. Itachi would be sitting and now leaning against the building, saying that Sasuke hasn't grown enough. His hatred hasn't grown enough. He's so weak. As he says this, Naruto would vanish, disappearing and reappearing in front of Itachi as he throws a punch, directly hitting the stone wall behind him, as the stone would crumble under his fist. Itachi, with his visual prowess, would have barely been able to move his head in time to dodge the blow. "Don't talk to Sasuke like that! You've never been around, you're the reason he's so pissed off all the time!" "Stay out of it, Naruto!" Sasuke would say, the two slightly bickering. Itachi would grin. "So you really are Naruto Uzumaki. I had thought that you were younger. No matter. I've dealt with your type before." Itachi would turn, his eyes meeting Naruto's, as he'd use the Tsukuyomi. Naruto, even with all this training, would still be caught by this genjutsu. as he then opens his eyes, realizing that he's inside a red space filled with water. What is... He'd feel pain ripping through his gut. It was Itachi. He was stapled against this large cross-like placement. Naruto would feel his arms and legs as they'd be pierced through a large wooden pole, in the same stance that Kakashi was in the original. What is this? He'd feel immense pain, as Itachi would say, "This is my Tsukuyomi. I rule everything here." As time, even inside the Tsukuyomi, would pass slower. Naruto would grin, saying, "This is nothing." As Itachi would continue to torture Naruto inside the Tsukuyomi, Sasuke would yell again, striking at Itachi in the real world, as Itachi would pin Sasuke by the throat against the building. Kisame would begin to walk up to an unconscious Naruto standing inside the Genjutsu. At this moment, we'd hear, "Leaf Hurricane!" as Might Guy, much like the original, would have heard of some suspicious strangers walking around the village, as Kisame would be repelled by Might Guy. "Hey, Naruto and Sasuke, looks like you've got some trouble here, huh? Well, don't worry, Kakashi and the other Jonin are on the way, but I'll take care of these jokers way before they get here." He'd crack his knuckles. What's your names again? I don't recognize either of you." Itachi's eyes would narrow, telling Kisame that they should get going. "We don't have time to extract the Nine Tails here." He'd look at Sasuke using the Tsukuyomi on him as well, once again reiterating the statement that he doesn't have enough hatred, telling him he needs to become stronger before he faces him. Sasuke would curse him out again, as both Naruto and Sasuke would fall unconscious when Kakashi arrives with the other Jonin, Kisame and Itachi barely escaping before they would be plunged upon by all of the Jonin in the village. Kisame and Itachi barely escaping, with Itachi using Genjutsu to fend off Guy, and now making it out of the village before more Jonin arrive, causing a bigger scene. With Naruto and Sasuke down for the count, it would be up to Kakashi and Guy to signal and send a message to Jiraiya, saying that nothing they have here is working and that they need help from someone a little more adept at dealing with these kinds of wounds, that being from a medical genius.
You know how Naruto had spent so much time inside of the time chamber, and he had kind of gotten used to being in a specific place with torturous conditions, especially with gravity, which had pretty much been tearing at his body that whole time. I think it'd be such a sick scene that once Naruto would be like done with the Genjutsu, which would obviously be done very quickly in the real world, Naruto would stand there as he'd be like, "Genjutsu was nothing," having a higher tolerance towards something like that thanks to his experiences, as Naruto then would pass out, and it would be seen that his recovery time would actually be way faster than Sasuke's. Naruto would wake up, unlike Sasuke, but super shocked and groggy, and the reason that they still need Tsunade in the village is because of Sasuke, who definitely is not going to be just walking this off, and Naruto isn't either. It's going to hit him like a truck, but Naruto's still going to be able to get up as though he has like a throbbing headache. Naruto definitely can feel the effects. So with this being said, we would still have Naruto and Jiraiya going off to find Tsunade, with Jiraiya being like, "You sure you can go on this mission, Naruto?" And Naruto saying, "Believe it, I've been through worse." He'd laugh, and so the two of them would make their way to find Tsunade. What do you think should have happened? What do you think should happen here? Like, how does this arc kind of play out? Because now Jiraiya and Naruto are much more powerful, and the threat of Orochimaru in terms of him giving Tsunade an ultimatum of, "Hey,
around.
do me exactly," like it doesn't even exist. What happens?
I do have some differences here. So, because Orochimaru is captured, there is a different sort of situation going on. Instead of Tsunade being sought after because of Orochimaru's arms, instead we'll still have the cat and mouse game with three parties, that being Jiraiya and Naruto, Tsunade herself, and the Sound Village, specifically Kimimaru, the one who was the student protege of Orochimaru who desperately wanted to become his vessel but was dying from illness. Kimimaru would seek out Tsunade. Having heard of word of Orochimaru's capture, he wants to become stronger and recover so that he can save his master, now actually becoming the vessel of Orochimaru, hopefully, if he can rescue him. But in the weakened and sick body he has, there's no way that's happening. With the Sound 4 having been taken out by the Anbu and the third Hokage, all he has to rely on is himself and some other outcasts. That, of course, being the younger Karin who had been captured, Suigetsu, etc. We have basically the early versions of Taka assisting Kimimaro instead, with the 5 of them, or well, 4 of them, since Sasuke is not a part of the Taka in this timeline at this point, now on the lookout for Tsunade. So we have Kimimaro being sort of the main threat in this timeline.
That is so tough. That is so freaking tough.
I know, right?
I never would have thought about something like that. I like that. Please keep going.
Yeah, of course. So, Kimimaro is trying to find Tsunade to heal his bone in his illness so that he can now storm the Leaf Village. We have Jiraiya and Naruto who are much faster, and Naruto isn't trying to learn the Rasengan because he already has it mastered pretty much. Or at least he has it to the level where he's able to use it with one hand without a shadow clone. Now, Jiraiya and Naruto are just basically hunting down Tsunade, using Jiraiya's connections and their speed to jump from town to town as fast as possible to find any word of her. It's sort of a race against time, with Naruto wondering how long Sasuke will be able to hold out in that torturous environment of the Tsukuyomi. I mean, it wasn't nearly as bad as the Time Chamber, but having it withstood that, I wonder if Sasuke will be alright. Naruto would worry about his friend, hoping that Sasuke will be fine after everything. They'd just started getting closer again after he had returned, after the 2 months of training. Well, for now. Naruto and Jiraiya would eventually come upon the very popular gambling village. Of course, at this point they still had yet to run into the legendary Sannin Tsunade herself, but Jiraiya had begun talking to Naruto about what he wants to do next. You know, Naruto, the third Hokage is not getting any younger, and you know, you're getting up there in years now. He'd laugh, joshing with Naruto. But what are you trying to say? Well, you always talked about how you wanted to become the Hokage, right? Well, I could see it happening pretty soon. You think so? There's no way I'm so qualified for that. They didn't even pass me as a Chunin saying I was too flashy and aggressive, right? Just because I won, they didn't want to give it to me anyway. Of course, I understand why, but, well, I did have to get some payback after all. Jiraiya would laugh, saying, that'd be something, right? Going from Genin straight to the Kage? I bet you'd be made fun of for years. Yeah, pervy sage. Naruto would smile, thinking back to when he had fought Zabuza, Haku, and even the early stages of the Chunin exams. It hasn't even been that long, but for him it's been, well, years. And seeing the Team 7 returned all together, he wants to see everyone, well, happy, just like those old days for him, which really hasn't been that long in the real world. Naruto would tell Jiraiya, saying, well, I've still got to get stronger. That Itachi guy, he may not be physically faster or stronger than I am, but his Sharingan, his visual prowess is on a whole other level. I've never seen something like that before. We've got to practice on how to resist Genjutsu. Jiraiya would nod, saying they can definitely work on that, with the focus of these 14 days looking for Tsunade, and eventually finding her, being instead on tuning up his Genjutsu resistance and how he can fight Genjutsu, instead of learning the Rasengan. So Naruto is definitely more well-rounded already, and we haven't even hit the 3-year time skip from the original yet. As Tsunade would meet Naruto and Jiraiya at the bar, Naruto would not recognize her. Of course, Jiraiya would. As Naruto would hear her talking smack about the Hokage, saying, yeah, who'd want that job? I can't believe you're actually talking to the kid about that. Naruto would grit his teeth, saying, maybe it's not up to you to decide my future. Maybe I want to become the Hokage. Huh? That job only brings misery. My grandfather was the first Hokage. She'd hold up her necklace, and all it brought him was pain. There's no reason to want that role in the village, or even want to be in the village at all. She'd laugh. Take it back, Naruto would say. He'd step, holding his hand as he smashes it down the table, causing the table to collapse. Huh, you're some kind of strong guy, huh? She'd take another sip of sake. Well, calm down, Tsunade. We don't want to hurt him. Besides, this is my student, Naruto. Yeah, I know who he is. How could I not? She'd laugh, looking at him. Spitting image and all. What are you even talking? She wouldn't stop talking. Fine, you know what? I'll heal your little friend Sasuke, if you can manage to beat me in a fight. Huh? Sound good? Shizune would step in. Lady Tsunade, you really shouldn't... Huh? Never mind. With that, they'd step out of the bar, and as the two were about to fight, we hear an interesting sound. It would be something like creaking. Whatever. Naruto would feel a drop of rainwater on him. Huh? He'd look up. There were no clouds in the sky. Why was there water? As soon as he thinks this thought, Tsunade would punch the ground, causing the earth to begin to shake. Whoa! Naruto would jump into the air, easily flying up 10 meters. You're pretty fast and jumpy, huh, there? She'd hiccup. Whatever, as she runs forward, throwing another super-powered punch with her immense strength. However, this time, Naruto would catch the blow with one hand. As he grabs her fist, we could feel the reverberations of air, as Tsunade herself would be surprised, her eyes opening wide. Damn, I don't even sense any chakra in his hand. How is he? Naruto would grab her fist, tightening his grip, as he then turns, throwing Tsunade as she whacks the ground, flipping back up on her feet. The, now, drunken stance that she was taking, returning back to normal. You knocked the alcohol out of my system. You're not gonna like that. Naruto would grin as he then folds his fingers, saying, come on, bring it. Jiraiya would wince, remembering the times where he'd felt immense pain from Tsunade, as she'd blitz, now speeding up as Naruto would be impressed, thinking, wow, this chick seriously got some power. At that point, he'd get punched in the stomach by Tsunade as he gets sent flying into a building. His feet hitting off the building as he then jumps back to the floor. He'd shake off the damage. That was, a little sore. Well, guess it's time to pull out the big guns. As Tsunade throws another punch, he disappears using the after image technique he developed, with his substitutions of after images being punched through one by one, until he starts making shadow clones. Naruto would create 4 shadow clones surrounding Tsunade as she leaps into the air, throwing a punch into the ground, causing all 4 of them to back up. At that exact moment, Naruto would say, let's hit her with it, as they'd then begin using the Rasengan. All 4 of them summoning the Rasengan. Tsunade would be shocked, turning to Jiraiya. You didn't! You taught this kid the Rasengan? Are you serious? At that moment, Naruto would then descend upon her as he uses the 4 Rasengans. Jiraiya would say, wait, Naruto, don't! At that exact moment, we'd hear the sound of chakra spreading as Tsunade would be forced to tap into her Byakugo seal just to survive the attack. As she'd have her arms up blocking, the 2 shots of the Rasengan on her back, the back shots, would take her tanking into the ground, getting attacked by the Rasengan. She'd out-heal the damage, but would be coughing up blood, saying, alright, I give up! That's way too much power to give a kid, Jiraiya. Damn it. She'd undo the seal, the Byakugo seal, her appearance slowly turning into that of an old hag. Naruto would screech, saying, whoa, as he steps back, thinking she was way younger. You're basically a granny. Sorry about that. He'd walk forward, trying to reach his hand out, but Tsunade wouldn't move. She looked down, seeing the puddle of blood she had coughed up, as her hands would be shaking. Get away from me! She'd throw dust at Naruto as she steps up, now her legs shaking. I didn't mean to... Jiraiya would put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. It's alright. Tsunade, why don't you get some rest for the night? We'll chat again in the morning regarding Sasuke, alright? Shizune would run over and bring a towel to Tsunade, putting it around her shoulders and asking her, my lady, are you alright? As she begins wandering off. Tsunade would take the necklace in her hand from her neck and throw it back towards Naruto, saying, you can be the Hokage or whatever you want. As Naruto would bend over, picking up the first Hokage's necklace. This doesn't feel like the achievement it's supposed to, but I guess I'll hold on to it for now.
As this would happen, we would then get a glimpse of the new Team Taka above a building as they'd be watching that entire fight, the moonlight hitting them as their silhouettes would look absolutely tough. It's in this moment that Kimimaro would say, looks like we've got competition, as he would then signal to them that they're going to be going to her first thing in the morning, saying that it's now officially a race against time. At this point, the next day would finally come around, and this is when we would then get Naruto and Jiraiya making their way towards Tsunade, where they had agreed to meet at. But as they would begin getting closer and closer, this is when Naruto could hear voices, and this would be none other than Tsunade talking to a white-haired individual, as he would see the silhouettes of a red-haired girl, orange hair, and a white-haired boy with blue hints in there. Naruto, seeing this, would then stop himself from turning the corner, as signaling to Jiraiya he would say, look. Jiraiya, then seeing this, would say, it looks like she's talking to someone. Then, using his spy abilities, he would proceed to overhear the entire situation, eavesdropping on everything, with him stunned at what Kimimaro is pretty much proposing, to help heal her in order for him to storm the village and pretty much free Orochimaru. Jiraiya hearing this would be stunned, saying that they cannot allow this to happen. So, coming out from the shadows, Jiraiya would say, "So, you guys want Tsunade's help as well? I'm sorry, but unfortunately I just can't allow you guys to take her from us. You know, we've got a couple of people back in the village." But before he could even finish that sentence, Jugo, who is so down for Kimimaro, like he's 10 toes in this moment, would say, "Get out of our way," transforming into his gigantic state as he would go nuts trying to kill Jiraiya with one blow. However, Jiraiya parrying it would uppercut him in the face, sending him flying in the air, as Jiraiya would say, "You know, I probably wouldn't have done that." Then Jiraiya in his head would think, "Nailed it," as he would then look on towards the direction of the rest of the members, and Suigetsu, turning into water, would glide to the direction of Jiraiya as a puddle would move towards him. Suddenly, a hand sticking out of it would shoot a water pistol at Jiraiya, to which this attack would be entirely blocked by Jiraiya's hair. Tsunade, seeing this, watching this fight go on, would think that she'll just go with whoever wins, seeing as neither of them exactly rubbed them the right way. And so, a battle would commence between Naruto Jiraiya versus the newly formed Team Taka and Kimimaro.
As Jiraiya would have taken Jugo directly on, we'd see Jugo with his imperfect Sage Mode energy, using the power of nature energy through his Kekkei Genkai, versus Jiraiya, a perfect Sage. The fight is kinda poetic. As the two would now clash off on their own, Naruto would then instead take on Suigetsu, while Kimimaro and Karin would hang at the rear. With Karin acting as support, he'd constantly be biting her, with Karin yipping in pain, as Kimimaro would be using Karin like a med pack. Essentially, only the reason he's able to stand is by using Karin to constantly heal himself. "This isn't enough though," he'd be thinking. "I need Tsunade, Lady Tsunade's power. If she could heal me, then I can become the vessel for Lord Orochimaru, and with my Kekkei Genkai, he'll be able to resurface as the most powerful of the Sannin." This would be all of Kimimaru's thoughts. "I won't allow these two to stand in my way. Not now, or ever." Kimimaro would hold a hand up, now intending to make this a jumping, as he instead intends to use a bone jutsu to send a spiraling bone tower to stab at Jiraiya. Jiraiya would sense this coming. As Jiraiya versus Jugo would then be interrupted by this bone tower, Jiraiya would easily use a Rasengan to destroy the entire tower, ripping through the bones, as he then gets sent flying backward using his lion mane hair jutsu, controlling his hair to whip around the tower, tying himself down it like a candy cane as he lands at the ground. "Hey, you're that kid who wants to free Orochimaru, huh? You must not know him really well. He doesn't care about you, or any of you. He just wants to use you. And I don't understand why you care about him so much," Jiraiya would say. He'd feel the pain in his gut. This was a lie. Orochimaru had been his friend once too. He knew how charismatic he could be, and the kindness he had once had. Kimimaro would frown, saying, "Someone like you could never understand." As more bones would have protruded from the ground, Jiraiya would be in a 2-on-1 fight. Naruto would say, "Jiraiya-sensei!" as Suigetsu would be untouchable. He'd be swiping through water as Suigetsu would be molding around his blows. This guy's pretty fast, he'd be thinking. Suigetsu, even though he was a kid, would still be laughing, saying, "There's no way you'll..." At that moment, Naruto would smirk, saying, "Well, guess I'll just use fire," as he backs up, using a toad oil flaming explosion jutsu. He'd spew flaming hot oil towards Suigetsu and a fireball. As the oil would explode on impact, Suigetsu would screech as he runs backward, saying, "Kimimaro, he's way too strong! I need a hand here, man! I don't even have any of the blades yet!" He was not trying to die here. He was trying to get that executioner's blade, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, at that point, Naruto would step in, saying, "Well, Jiraiya-sensei, looks like I'm gonna have to step in." And first off, he'd point to Kimimaro. "You're going down. I'm not gonna let you take advantage of Granny Tsunade." As he says this, Tsunade would raise an eyebrow. "Oh, as opposed to you both taking advantage of me?" That's not the point. As Naruto runs forward, he'd throw a punch, saying, "Ah!" As he throws a punch to Kimimaro, a large bone tree would appear. Naruto's fist, although he had gone very strong, would still not penetrate the bone. What? This stuff should be brittle. Naruto would pull his fist back again, punching it, as he hears a hollow reverberation. Kimimaro, being a combat genius, would have realized that these two had incredible physical strength. In order to counteract that, he created these drum-like hollow bones that could distribute the force. Naruto would smirk, saying, "You think you're smart, huh? Well then, I'll just hit it even harder!" As he pulls his fist back, now using a full-strength punch, he'd shatter through the bones as Kimaru's eyes would widen slightly. "You're quite the brute, aren't you?" At this moment, Naruto's hands would stick out from under the ground. It was a shadow clone. Pulling Kimaru's feet into the ground, his teeth would have latched onto Karin one more time as she yelps out in pain, the blood spilling from her arm. Tsunade, seeing this, would wince. Seeing the blood off Karin, she'd look away, saying, as she covers her mouth, that this is horrible. She'd begin remembering the memories of Dan, of her younger brother during the Third Great Shinobi War, and all that nonsense they spewed about becoming the Hokage. Why? Why would someone care so much that they'd risk their life? Why can't they just be happy being alive? Why do they have to rise to that position? It's never done anything for them. Tsunade would have these memories appearing in her head. As Naruto would punch his way forward, Kiyomaru would be underground as he uses more bone jutsu, ripping up through the air. He'd begin coughing up blood as he then lurches towards Karin, saying, "Come on, Karin, I need more!" Karin would again cry out in pain as Naruto grit his teeth, saying, "Hey! Stop biting that girl! What is wrong with you, man?" He'd then create a Rasengan as he rips through 3 more bone trees, now reaching Kiyomaru and Karin. He'd grab Karin and pull her back as he throws a punch into Kiyomaru's face, sending him flying, or down for the count, he thought. That is, until Kiyomaru would stand, his cheeks covered with bones he had grown over his skin, now slowly cracking as the bone would shatter away. "My exoskeleton's pretty strong. I never expected you could actually hit it with a regular taijutsu and break it." "You really are a brute. It's no wonder my master had such a tough time against your master Jiraiya." He'd stand back up as now Kiyomaru versus Naruto would begin in earnest. Karin would be in tears as she holds her arm clutching it, as she'd have her own memories to deal with the people from her village having abused her. At this point, we see Tsunade now looking up as we see Naruto defending her. Tsunade would look around, now snapping out of it, as Naruto is about to get stabbed from behind from a bone blade. He'd yell out again, saying, "It's not up to you if Granny Tsunade wants to help you or not. We came to ask her for help because she's from the Leaf Village and we're here to protect our comrades." In that exact moment, Tsunade would step forward, catching the bone as she'd hold it with her hands, her own blood beginning to spill. "Granny Tsunade?" Naruto would turn, seeing her hands getting bloodied up, as she'd fall over, almost getting penetrated by Kiyomaru's bone kick Genkai. Naruto would move forward faster, using a shadow clone and using a Rasengan, destroying the bone. Meanwhile, back to Jugo and Jiraiya. Jiraiya would have successfully taken Jugo down and knocking him out, as Suigetsu would have grabbed him and tried to escape. Jiraiya would turn his focus back on Kiyomaru and Tsunade. That is, until Tsunade would have fallen to the ground. Jiraiya would yell out, saying, "Tsunade!" as he'd run forward toward Naruto and her, Shizune now on the backdrop. Kiyomaru would now take a step back as he sees Karin being held by Naruto and Tsunade and Jiraiya now on the forefront. Damn it!
Kiyomaru, watching the situation, seeing that Tsunade had just jumped to their side clearly, would then stop, as staring at the situation before him, he would murmur, "So you've joined their side. She's made her decision, and if she's not willing to help Lord Orochimaru, well then, she's of no use to us." It's at this point that he would then tap into his Curse Mark II stage, as Kiyomaru would be willing to lay down his life, him having held back from using this power thanks to understanding that if he gave into this, he would most likely die. But now, knowing that Tsunade wouldn't help him, he would die either way. So at least he was going to make sure that the village that had captured Orochimaru was not going to be having Tsunade's assistance. His goal wasn't to defeat Naruto or Jiraiya, it was simply to kill Tsunade. And as a bone structure would rush to the direction of Tsunade, Naruto would grit his teeth going, "Shh, didn't think I'd have to use this so soon." creating a Rasengan, Naruto would use a new variation of it, the Rasen Shuriken. Flying towards the direction of these bones, he would completely shatter it and then hit at Kimimara's chest, caving him in and turning dude into Kakuzu 2.0. It's at this point that the remaining members of Taka, watching on, would feel fear, rage, and just be completely unsure of what they're feeling. It's at this point that Jugo would say, "Why?" as he would lunge to the direction of Naruto and attempt to kill him. However, it's at this moment that Jiraiya, using a quick jutsu to destroy Jugo, would knock him out, as they would then walk towards the remaining two members and they would ask why exactly they took this fight on, knowing that they were going against a sage and his student. It's at this point that Suigetsu would cower in fear, going, "It's not like that, man. He told me he could free me if I came over to help, and I was just doing what I was told, right? I don't want to die here. I really don't want to die here." And Karin would say, "To tell the truth, I just came along because, well, he offered freedom, and it's not like I had anywhere else to go." So Jiraiya, hearing that, would smile, saying, "Perfect. Then you two can come to the village, and when he wakes up, do me a favor. Talk to the guy." They would then walk over towards Kimimaro. As Jiraiya, looking at his body fading to death, he would then think how different things could have been if he had simply been found by somebody other than Orochimaru. Jiraiya would watch himself training the young boy, seeing the potential before him, as he would think to himself how much different things could have been if he had genuinely been there for him instead of Orochimaru. But as he would take the young boy's hand, he would then close his eyes as he would dig a grave for him and bury him. All of them, watching onwards, would then pretty much end up paying their respects for Kimimaro, with Naruto saying that he was an incredible shinobi, that he could go toe to toe with anybody realistically and put up a great fight. Jiraiya would say that that's exactly right, and Tsunade would say that she would have offered to heal the guy if he had been on her side, but it's sad that things came out this way. She would then say, "Well, whatever, let's get back to the village already, not like I exactly want to stay there long." Naruto, turning towards, would say, "So that means you're gonna..." And she'd say, "Of course, I helped in the battle, didn't I? Even the dead brat over there knows why I'm coming." This is when Suigetsu and Karin would kind of look at her with an expression of, "Dude, that's insensitive." And Tsunade would say, "Sorry, I'm sorry." It's at this point that they would return to the village and Sasuke would be healed. And once Sasuke would wake up, he'd get out with a cold sweat. "Itachi!" Looking around, he would say nothing as suddenly Sasuke would have his room filled by a couple of nurses to check on his vitals. "He's okay." Tsunade would say, "Of course he's okay. I healed him and I expected he'd be waking up around this time." Then, walking towards the direction of a phone or something like that, she would call over Jiraiya and Naruto, as the two of them would enter the room and would pretty much tell Sasuke of everything that had happened, who Lady Tsunade was, and how Naruto had gone over to save him. But Sasuke, instead of feeling gratitude, he'd stare at Naruto in rage, thinking, "He had to save me again? Are you kidding me? Just how much stronger than me how you've gotten, Naruto?" He would hide his rage with a smile, but Naruto could tell that Sasuke was not happy. As everybody would slowly begin to leave the room, Naruto would stare at Sasuke, asking, "What's the deal?" Sasuke would then stare at Naruto and say, "You're the deal. Ever since you came back, you've been the deal. You came back stronger, taller, more mature than me, and now this is the second time that you've saved me. I'm not gonna say thank you, you know." And Naruto would look at him saying, "I didn't expect to thank you. But why do you gotta be such a dick about it, Sasuke?" It's at this point that Sasuke, turning to Naruto, would say, "You wanna say that again?" And Naruto, turning towards Sasuke, would tell him he heard him. It's at this point that Sasuke would attempt to fight Naruto, but Naruto would put him in an armbar in 2 seconds flat, saying that they're not even on the same levels anymore. But Naruto didn't know that that was the worst reaction he could have possibly given him, because now Sasuke had been resolute. He's done with this village. Leaving it to go anywhere else would be best to do, even if he didn't have a place to go. And that's the part where I kind of want to ask you, Weeb, what do you think would happen?
Hospital. We had Naruto put Sasuke into a headlock and give him like a noogie. He basically told him like, "Nah, little bro, you're nothing." And this triggered Sasuke, right? Like, he has Itachi PTSD. He does not want to be little broed by anyone. We have him realizing that he feels weak and he needs to gain power. This time, while he's inside the village, we begin to hear whispers through Karin and Suigetsu, specifically the curse marks that they now possess. You see, Orochimaru actually would have given them curse marks in this timeline as well, so we hear the whispers between Sasuke, Orochimaru, Suigetsu, and Karin, with Orochimaru's voice whispering to gain more power. As the three of them would feel the manipulation of Orochimaru, we'd see inside of a dark room. That being, this is the Root Ambu, where Orochimaru would be kept in a straitjacket with his eyes covered with multiple sealing layers all across his body. He'd hear footsteps and a cane, and a low chuckle. You know, Orochimaru, I really had faith in you. That old little bastard Hiruzen has been making this village a failure for years. It was about time we had a spring cleaning. And now look at you. You're pathetic. You were beaten by Jiraiya, that jokester. He's just like the third. And how do you even look at yourself, Orochimaru? What have you become? Orochi would simply laugh. I don't know how, but that Jiraiya has become much stronger. He's far exceeded my expectations. Danzo would laugh. Well, Orochimaru, aren't we in a pickle here? You and I working together on that Konoha crush plan of yours. I even helped you assassinate the Kazekage of the Sand Village, and you have no idea how much trouble that got me into. Well, I suppose you haven't used all of your usefulness up to me yet. I'll give you one more chance, Orochimaru. He'd begin to unseal him, telling Orochimaru that if he wishes to have one last chance at taking out this pathetic leaf village, then he would give him what he wanted, the blood of the Uchiha. The last one is here, that filth of the village. They exuded their usefulness to me long ago. Don't forget what I had done to the Uchiha, Orochimaru. I'll gift you the last of their brethren. He would inform Orochimaru of that some of his students were here, explaining that Jiraiya had brought back a red-haired girl, a blue-haired boy with shark-like teeth, and of course, Tsunade had healed Sasuke. But your other two Sannin friends have left the village, thankfully. It should be a walk in the park for you. And so, Orochimaru and Danzo would come to a deal, with Orochimaru promising that he would do anything to get out. As soon as Danzo would release the seal, Orochimaru would strike out, attacking Danzo as he'd attack his arm. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I will cut that part out. As soon as Orochimaru is released from the seal, as soon as Orochimaru is released from the seal, his eyes would be uncovered, seeing Danzo's arm now bandaged and now covered in wounds apparently. Orochimaru would be shocked, wondering if Danzo really had been harmed in his assassination attempt of the Kazekage. That's unlike you, Danzo. You normally are more cautious in the shadows. Did you really fight the Kazekage yourself? I thought we'd come to a deal that you'd send some of your precious Anbu. Danzo would chuckle. Why, Orochimaru, you have no idea how much pain I've endured to go this far. With his other arm, his open and unbandaged one, he'd grip it, touching the side of his face where he now had an eye cloth covering it. Apparently, his eye had been attacked too. Orochimaru would seem unsuspicious for now, wondering what had caused so much injury to this side of his body. And so, Danzo would release Orochimaru. With Orochimaru now leaving the village, he would have taken the remaining Sound 4 that had been captured alongside with him, using them to retrieve Karin, Suigetsu, and of course, Sasuke Uchiha. With the three of them being now re-recruited to Orochimaru's side, Karin would not want, of course, to do this at first. Until, that is, they are told that Sasuke was willingly joining Orochimaru's side. Sasuke? She'd remember seeing him. He was the same boy who, inside the Chunin exams in the Forest of Death, where she had been helping Orochimaru's forces and gathering information, had helped save her. She was head over heels for him. Well, I guess there's no point being here if Sasuke's not here. She'd laugh. Hopefully they forgive me, but oh well, I guess I was captured. Karin would join the Sound 4, and Suigetsu would not want to get killed, would go along with them saying, hey, I'm good with whatever, I just want to keep going, I have lots of goals still. And frankly, aside from that Naruto and Jiraiya guy, everyone else here seems super weak. We should be fine getting out. I hope they don't send them after us though. Suigetsu would be cautious, as the three would then join the Sound Four, now leaving with Orochimaru and heading to the final valley. As they're leaving, the question is, do we have a scene where Sakura finds Sasuke as he's leaving? Because in the original, she kind of knew because of everything he had been saying, and there was build up to it. But because of the sudden release of Orochimaru and this threat in the village, I don't know if they'd even begin to know where they are. So I think...
Bro, there's absolutely zero reason that happens. And instead, we get a really sick moonlit scene where everyone's leaving and Orochimaru pretty much ends up telling them that they need to get going. So then they would start going through the forest, and then we would have the whole recruitment section where Shikamaru one by one starts telling everyone that they're gonna need to get a move on. And then we would get the whole sound, the Sound 4 encounter where all of them have their mini fights and whatever. But interestingly enough, the encounter between Naruto and Sasuke happens way earlier. Because remember, while Sasuke would probably be inside of that box carried by most likely Jugo, then the next member, until ultimately it's Orochimaru, or probably Suigetsu, it's probably Suigetsu who ends up carrying him. He's like, it's so heavy, you know what I mean? We would probably get a scene of Naruto, instead of running into Kimimaru, would see Karin, Jugo, and Suigetsu. It's at this point that he would say, you joined him, are you serious? That's what happened to you two? We thought you were taken. But now it seems like you two had just gone willingly. And after Pervy Sage had given you guys an outing, you guys really are wicked to the bone. It's at this point that Karin would look down in shame, and Suigetsu, looking at Naruto, would also look away slightly. Orochimaru, turning to see Naruto, would then say, so, you're in my way once again. Karin, Suigetsu, Jugo, take him out. So all three of them would attempt to fight against Naruto, and the only one that truly stands a chance would even be Jugo. But even that's a bit of a reach, considering the fact that Jugo was not nearly in his prime age-wise, so his attacks would barely even be able to land on Naruto. And the only reason that the fight would even be called a fight is thanks to Karin's influence and her healing abilities. Suigetsu would practically be a non-factor just due to the fact that his attacks just aren't as potent as the ones that we get in Shippuden. Because remember, at this point, Suigetsu is also 12 years old, or 13, much like everybody else would be. So it's not like they're much of a threat. So after Naruto would finish handling them all and take them out with non-lethal damage, obviously, Naruto would then catch up to Sasuke and Orochimaru. And standing before the two of them, Sasuke would yell out, "Orochimaru, let Sasuke go now!" But then, this is when he would put the box
the
down.
The Tanjiro box.
Exactly. As Nezuko would walk out.
Nezuko, no, why did you join Orochimaru?
No, seriously, Nezuko comes out. No, but Sasuke comes out, curse mark blazing, as he would stare at Naruto with a maniacal expression. You're still here, Naruto? Why don't you go find another obsession and leave me to gain my power? You've gained yours, and now I think it's time to gain mine. It's at this point that Orochimaru, licking his lips, would say, I'd listen to your friend if I was you, because there's no reason why Jiraiya would step in to save you now. And there's no way you're gonna be defeating me and my student. Sasuke! Are you serious? You're really planning on joining this guy? Even Pervy Sage is stronger than him. I don't know what you're intending to gain off of this. But Sasuke, turning to Naruto, would say that he'll gain everything and that he needs to shut up and stay out of his way. Naruto would say, you could train with us. I have a way for you to get stronger. I mean it. You can even get the same gains that I got. But Sasuke, not listening to him at this point, would tell him that there's no way he's going to be returning to that stuck-up village. As he would then turn towards Orochimaru, and with a smile, Sasuke would awaken his Sharingan, activating them, as he would then stare towards Naruto's direction, saying that he'll either leave willingly or they're just gonna have to kill him. Naruto, now staring at Sasuke, who he knows is fully intent on killing him, would then sigh as he would think, if that's how you want it. It's at this point that he would use the multi-shadow clone jutsu, as hundreds of clones would appear behind him, if not thousands. And Orochimaru, licking his lips, would think, interesting. It's at this point that Sasuke would rush towards the direction of these clones. He would start taking them out with a lot of difficulty, as Sasuke, running through them with Chidori's, would start to tire himself out. The power of the curse mark eating away at his chakra, not helping things, considering the fact that Sasuke had to use this power just to keep up. All the while Orochimaru would be using his most potent jutsus, thanks to him still having his arms in this timeline. This would make him a lot more of a threat to Naruto, but ultimately, Orochimaru would start to be pushed back. What? How is this even possible? And as Naruto would continue fighting them, his anger would only begin boiling more to the surface. Naruto, then staring at Orochimaru, would smirk as his power would only rise further and further, one tail appearing behind himself and each and every single one of the clones. It's at this point that Naruto, turning towards Orochimaru, would tell him that unless he has a god he's gonna pray to, that there's no way he's gonna leave alive. It's at this point that Orochimaru, taken aback, would be like, what? And the power of the Nine Tails? Naruto would then punch Orochimaru straight into the abyss where all the water's at, as Orochimaru, falling into it, would begin thinking to himself, I've gotta get away, I've gotta get away. As he would hit the ground, the water, he would begin sinking into it, as Naruto, jumping down with thousands of clones, Sasuke starting to be overwhelmed by them, would then leap towards Orochimaru. Getting closer and closer, Orochimaru would get himself out of the water, as he would stare at Naruto, telling him that there's still one trick up his sleeve. Suddenly, sound would begin to be heard, with Orochimaru using a sound-based genjutsu. This would stun Naruto long enough for him to stare at Orochimaru and cover his ears. And it's at this point that Orochimaru, using this powerful sound-based genjutsu, would then appear on top with thousands of Naruto clones. Then, weaving the hand signs for the bringer of darkness jutsu, he would proceed to remove the eyesight of all the Narutos, who without Sage Mode was unable to stop Orochimaru from reverse summoning himself and Sasuke out of there. And so, as Sasuke and Orochimaru would arrive in
Ryuchi Cave.
in the place, Ryuchi Cave, the two of them would pretty much begin gasping for air. Sasuke gritting his teeth and grasping at sand as he would slam his fist onto the ground, saying, damn it, he's only that much stronger than me. Orochimaru, you better train me well, because if there's even a chance that I'm weaker than him by the end of this, then mark my words, I will kill you. Orochimaru, looking at Sasuke and the hate in his eyes that has grown even more than the one that he'd have in the original, this Sasuke would be way too far gone, and Orochimaru would smirk, knowing just how harsh his training was going to be, knowing that the goal now is not what it was in the original, but it's far beyond that.
With the end of the Final Valley fight, we would have once again had pretty much all of Orochimaru's forces except for Sasuke would be taken out from the Leaf Task Force and Naruto. So the Sound Four have been recaptured and are now probably going to be executed, unfortunately, during the 3-year time skip. I think Naruto's going to try and argue his case for Karin and Suigetsu, and Jugo maybe as well, basically trying to explain like they were manipulated by Orochimaru, and they've given them a chance before, but this is seriously like his last chance. Like he tries to talk no jutsu them again. I think at this point, like we have some discussion between Karin and Sakura, which would just, if we really care about character development. Anyway, with that all breaking down, we get the same scene with where Naruto comes back to the village and Sakura's like, did you bring him back? And Naruto would just shake his head. He'd be like, no, Sasuke and Orochimaru, they escaped. Damn it. I almost had them. It's just, damn it, with the genjutsu. Naruto was beginning to realize that this was a pretty critical weakness of his. I've got to get some resistance to genjutsu, alright? Anyway, with that all happening, Naruto would enter into the 3-year time skip. Now, this is where things really get kind of interesting, because Naruto is already 16 during the events of part 1, during this ending sequence, After 3 years, Naruto would be 19 years old. So Naruto is the same age as he was during the last. And I don't see there being a universe where a Naruto who's this strong and has mastered the Rasen Shuriken doesn't go to Mount Miyaboku to train Sage Mode. I highly believe that he would be going to train at Mount Miyaboku during these 3 years.
Bro, absolutely. I mean, and it's not like it's a secret to him in this timeline because he sees Jiraiya do it, and he probably would have even even seen the toads that were helping Jiraiya to train with Sage Mode in the time chamber, which would be absolutely insane. So Naruto seeing that would kind of understand some basics of it, which would even make his training to learn it even faster, which is just insane. Plus, if Naruto ever does want to develop some sort of a jutsu or something like that, and Naruto gets like pissed, Naruto always can go to the time chamber
and shadow
not
clones.
necessarily exactly just destroy it. Like, bro, there's just no world in which Naruto, after these 3 years of occasionally, mind you, he's not going to be spending another year in there because Naruto knows that he's losing his life in there. So even though he's getting maximum gains, it's just kind of not worth it.
And
it's
bro's
like
not a
those Mr.
Saiyan.
Beast.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like those Mr. Beast videos where people are like, oh, $1 million. I miss my family. I gotta go. It's kind of like that. Like Naruto cares about his life. You know what I mean? So with that being said, Naruto would be an absolute monster. And I was kind of thinking about this and I wanted to pitch this idea to you. What would you think about the Akatsuki being put kind of like on a high alert? And they're like, we need to capture him now. Like, if we don't capture him, he's going to become too strong. Because interestingly enough, I could probably see Team 7 having added like someone like Suigetsu and Kari or something like that. With Jugo not being added, him kind of like joining some other force or something like that. And so like they've had so much time to develop together.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think Naruto is at this point, so something I talked about beforehand is I think after the time skip, I want Naruto to become the 5th Hokage. That was something that I think makes a lot of sense, is during that time skip, himself and Gaara will reach a similar status. The reason I say that is because it changes a lot of the story going from here, from him just being a really strong guy to being like a figure for the Leaf Village. So he's essentially taken on Orochimaru. He is powerful enough to be comparable to Jiraiya, a Sannin, and after his training at Mount Miyaboku, he's become a perfect sage. I could see Hiruzen pushing for Naruto to become the next Hokage. And we could have Kakashi supporting this as well, because Kakashi would also be considered as a potential candidate. Maybe Danzo would be heavily like against it, saying like we can't have a Jinchuriki becoming the Kage. And at this point, I think the reason I don't see the Akatsuki going after him is because of Killer Bee. So for one, they have to go in the order of the tailed beasts. But two, it's because Killer Bee is much older than Naruto was as a 19-year-old, and he's been like fighting way longer than Naruto was. And
this is perfect too. I like what this could do for the story, in the sense that the Akatsuki now has to come to the Leaf Village. So the fight with Pain becomes a lot more like just it has to happen, and the war arc type situation would change, where it would be kind of like the Akatsuki would come to the village, and it might not even be just the Diva Path. Like, it might be a lot of members.
A big difference is because Naruto is crowned as the 5th Hokage during like the end of these 3 years. The Kazekage would be announced as being Gaara. We'd have a big wave of change across the Shinobi world, because not one, but 2 of the Jinchuriki of the villages have become the Kage. So I could see like the other Kage now feeling nervous as their positions might be in danger. We could have the Raikage like looking up, like we have A looking over at B. You think you ever want to be the Raikage, eh? No, bro, that's not what I want to do. No, thank you. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Dude, I just thought about something. Okay, so once Gaara would get captured, Naruto being in the loop this timeline and probably having gone to his coronation would be pissed. He'd like shatter his pencil in his hand as he'd be like, Gaara was captured. Rage would fill the room and chakra would start flaring, like 9 tails type chakra. Naruto could control a significant amount of it, probably like 6 tails.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
like it's going crazy. And the only reason that he can't capture all of it is because remember, the only reason that happens is Kurama's
Turtle
cooperation.
Island and Kurama's cooperation. Exactly. So he definitely is closer.
No Turtle Island?
No Turtle Island has happened yet, of course.
Exactly.
Does Hokage, I don't see him leaving the village to go save another Hokage.
Exactly. Here's who I wanted to send. Naruto's new squad. Team Taka, Suigetsu, Karin, Sakura, and Jugo. With the leader, Kakashi. That would be such a fire arc where all of them come together to go capture the Kazekage, and when they come back and like he finds out like that they had a successful mission, Naruto would be so relieved. He'd like pay them well, and like
they'd be like his personal guard, something like the Hokage's guard. I like that.
Exactly. He would like really appreciate them doing this. And then as this is happening, we could probably then even get the whole scenario with Asuma's death and stuff like that, with which Naruto being a Kage and feeling the threat of the Akatsuki, that's something that he has to handle. Like it's not like he's just a shinobi who's being ordered around to fight for the village.
No, he's like
protecting them
now.
from the Akatsuki. Exactly. Yeah, what do you think happens?
This is why I kind of want to do this, because we get some really interesting stuff now. So Naruto is in a different seat. I think when Kakuzu and Hidan attack the village, they are there to like kind of take Naruto, but also because Hidan and Kakuzu are nihilists and gambling addicts. We have Shikamaru begging Hokage Naruto, like, please, like, Lord Fifth, put our squad on the Akatsuki strike mission. And we could have like Shikamaru trying to like plead with Naruto to be placed on this mission. I think we could see Naruto is now having some resistance from Danzo, because the Danzo is still alive and in the background, and he was not happy about the 5th Hokage being placed as Naruto, Minato's son. Also, this is a huge plotline. Does Naruto know that he's the 4th Hokage's son at this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
He
Remember
has
how
to,
earlier,
right?
like with the village pretty much have like being calling him Minato, and like everybody just kind of pointing out how similar he actually looks to Minato himself. Naruto eventually would have Hiruzen confess it to him, with it being like a scene of like, what? No way, Minato's my dad? And Hiruzen just kind of facepalming, being like, Naruto, you're a fool. Also, would Hiruzen probably die of old age during this time skip? I feel like it kind of has to happen.
I think, I don't know if, I mean, Hiruzen might die of old age. I kind of like the idea of him just going off on vacation to go chuff off somewhere. Like he's just like, he's like, oh, I'm leaving the village. I'm going to my mansion over in Whirlpool. I'll be there for 6 months. Like, he's got.
You just see Hiruzen chilling in Naruto's old family home, just living the good life.
Yeah, taking the pipe. Jiraiya shows up every now and then. He's like, hey, let me get some of that. No, I'm just kidding.
Got some kunoichi in there and everything.
Damn. Okay. Okay. Calm down. Anyway, no, we can kind of kill off Hiruzen. Like, he can be senile and useless at this point, but we don't have to kill it. For the purposes of the story, he's dead. But I don't want to write like the sad funeral scene or anything. And it's kind of lame to have him just, off during the time skip. So let's just say he's in the background, like those old village elders who don't do jack shit in the village and they just sit there to bicker. He's like them. So he's just, maybe he's on the council with them now, and they're like, ugh, damn this old man. I think Danzo would be the biggest thorn in Naruto's side. Anyway, I think when Naruto is prepared to like push Team 10 to actually avenge Asuma, like he'd agree with Shikamaru. He's like, yeah, like I totally get it. I have faith in you guys. Danzo would push back. So to get back on like the plot, Danzo would be like, well, for a threat as great as the Akatsuki, Lord Hokage, wouldn't it be more appropriate to send my Anbu Black Ops? And this is where we could have Sai's introduction. So Sai was never introduced because Team 7 has like the Taka taking their place instead. We could have Sai leading like his own team, where basically Danzo offers his team versus Team 10 to take down the Akatsuki. So it's not only like a revenge arc, but we also have a sort of competition where Danzo's trying to prove like his choices are superior and show that he has like the military strength to combat Naruto's decisions. So we could see Naruto.
It'd be so sick.
Yeah.
Like this happens without Naruto's know-how. And once this is all over, Naruto could have like a super sick scene where he's like, didn't I tell you not to do that? His chakra's like flaring and Danzo's like, Lord Fifth, like, please reconsider, like, and Naruto's just like, you've been a thorn in my side for long enough. You're off the council, and you're leaving this village. And Danzo's like super pissed, and he's just like, you can't do this to me. You know how much I've sacrificed?
Do you know how much I've sacrificed for this village? Yes, I know. I know the Green Goblin.
I'm a scientist myself.
You know, I'm something of an Uchiha hater myself.
Uchiha hater. Okay.
All right. I think if that actually happens, so we'll go with that. Team 10 manages to avenge Asuma. We don't have. Maybe Naruto sends a shadow clone to finish off Kakuzu with the Rasen Shuriken, which he now has like elemental versions of. Like he can use Fire Style. He can probably use like a Fire Style Rasen Shuriken. He takes out Kakuzu. That'd be kind of sick. With like a shadow clone. And then we have Kakashi being, I think this would be interesting. Kakashi could be placed as the new leader of the Anbu, like taking Danzo's place after he's been like kicked out by Naruto. Like Danzo's forces would leave the village alongside him, like his very loyal forces, and would join Orochimaru's side. This could be where we get the bridge stuff, because if they fought Deidara and Sasori from the original Kazekage arc, even if Naruto wasn't there, they would still get that info about Sasuke because Sakura and Kakashi are there and Karin. So Naruto would know about what's happening with the bridge and the exchange of information. So with this event, like
no, but the Tenshin Bridge arc happens before the
Asuma stuff.
Yeah,
I agree. But I want this to have happened. So I think Naruto himself wouldn't be able to go on the mission, obviously. But we would have Yamato be introduced. I think the mission would, I want to say fail to like retrieve Sasuke, obviously. But I think it'd be interesting to see if that arc did happen. But do you think it would or no? Like we kind of skipped it.
Honestly, Naruto in a Hokage position, he'd probably be like tackling the whole idea of him wanting to go after Sasuke
and not being able to.
And not being able to, understanding that, damn, like being a Hokage isn't all fun and games. So he kind of has to trust Team Taka to go after Sasuke. But even though they've gotten significantly more powerful thanks to, you know, being with Naruto and him like kind of training them and all the missions that they go on, dude, this Sasuke has been training in preparations of not only trying to beat Itachi, but Naruto. So he'd be so much stronger to the point that he would just embarrass them, if not kill them. But for the sake of the story, let's have them survive with major injuries.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or something like that.
All right, for the sake of that, we'll have Naruto understand that Sasuke is still a threat, and he'll be forced to label him as a rogue ninja. Like, that's something he has to do. Do you remember when he went and protested to Tsunade about that? With, like, the Killer Bee stuff? So, anyway, the Kakuzu and Hidan stuff comes to an end.
Naruto seeing the bodies of, like, his team literally injured in the hospital, knowing that he's the one who sent them, right? He knew that like a part of him should have gone because he knew that they weren't going to be able to. Naruto feels like it's all on himself. And as Naruto would be thinking this, that's the only thing replaying in his head. His failures as a Hokage. This is when he'd be having like a head meeting with like everybody talking about the affairs of the world. Akatsuki, Sasuke, Orochimaru, and now even Danzo, who had been kicked out of the village and seemingly is now working with Orochimaru after they had gotten information from Jiraiya. Naruto would be sitting there as the Hokage Council would start to berate him, telling Naruto, what is he going to do about this? This is a clear attack on the village, Naruto. We've got to do something about this. You've got to stop looking at him as though he's just a friend. He's a rogue shinobi, Naruto. And as Naruto would hear this, he'd like yell, I know that. His chakra would start to fill the room. Everybody would start to go quiet. And Naruto would just like be looking like he's mad, but it's not the same as it was before. Naruto would calm down as someone would finally speak up. Naruto, we know that this is your friend, but you've got to acknowledge that Sasuke, he's a rogue shinobi. He can't be allowed to roam the streets as though he hasn't hurt our ninjas, hurt many of ours years ago during the retrieval mission, and probably going to continue to hurt more. We need to do this. Naruto would sign the papers, and after doing so, he would kind of just sit in his Hokage office in silence. This is when Kakashi would walk in, and we'd probably get like a heart-to-heart moment where Naruto tells Kakashi what it's like to be Hokage, with Kakashi telling him, yeah, it's a thankless job, but you have to do it, telling him that nobody's better for the job, and that Naruto's gonna figure it out. He always does. So then after like this heartfelt moment, we could then have all the affairs of the world happening, with most likely the 5 Hokage summit happening shortly after this. Because, or no, I'm tripping.
This is where we get to the pain arc.
Exactly, the pain arc. Yeah, what happens here?
So this is a big difference. I wanted to talk about this because, so there's 2 differences here. One is because Naruto is the Hokage, he has been acknowledged for like his strength, but also he's a public figure now. Do we think that the Akatsuki goes after B first? Or do they launch a double attack on Killer B and the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki? So do they have like Pain go after Naruto, and they have like Obito, or not even Obito, they have like the remainder of like Conan and Toby and what's his face? There's a couple others. Datara's alive still, unless Sasuke takes him out pretty soon, which he should.
No, Datara got killed. Oh, wait, no, you're right. Datara. No, yeah, you're right. Datara probably still would get killed by Sasuke. Actually, no. Yeah. Wait, dude. Team Taka's not there. Would Team Sasuke just stay with Orochimaru?
I think he might still kill Orochimaru if they had gone after him, because after that point, Orochimaru having not been able to defeat them on his own and having like had to flee to Sasuke. I don't know if actually his arms were never sealed, so I don't know if Sasuke would be able to kill him. Do we have Orochimaru take over Sasuke's body?
No, Sasuke has gotten significantly stronger. And so him kind of needing Sasuke's help would lead Sasuke to help him, but kind of have a scene of like, you've overstayed your welcome. Now die with the thunderclap.
Let's get into the pain arc. I think there's one of 2 things, and I like the path where Sasuke has taken out Orochimaru and is now taken Datara out and gotten the information on where Itachi is. So we have Itachi versus Sasuke and Kisame, while Pain attacks the Leaf Village. However, there's a big difference here, and that big key factor is Jiraiya. So in the original, Jiraiya was defeated by Pain, having been a failure and even saying the tale of Jiraiya the Gallant and all that. However, this time Jiraiya is a whole different factor. I'm trying to visualize a world where a perfect sage, gravity-trained time chamber Jiraiya
the only reason we could even
is defeated by Pain. And I don't see him beating Pain. This is what I see. I think Jiraiya would not defeat Pain. He would fight them and realize that he's outmatched, like something weird is going on, but he wouldn't get stabbed, so he doesn't figure out the secret of Nagato. He'd recognize Yahiko and some of the other like corpses that are being used as the Rinnegan hosts, and he'd escape because he has so much more strength and speed. It's just unrealistic that he gets just like so overwhelmed. So I think he retreats and like tells Naruto like Lord Fifth, like Naruto, like we've got some trouble. Like this guy who's taken over the Rain Village, he's strong. Like I was struggling with him. I could have died.
And I think
back
it's perfect because that's what I was trying to tell you. But it's interesting because I was going to say that the only way that Jiraiya would probably struggle would be due to his age, because he spent 3 more years in the time chamber and 3 more years had passed. So Jiraiya's body's not at his peak. But yeah, I think that what you did was perfect, where you had him like reverse summon himself out of there. So now we're kind of just left with the whole scenario playing out that you had laid out, with Killer B being captured by the Akatsuki with like different members. Obviously not Itachi and Kisame.
Yep.
And maybe Obito goes to do that because Sasuke's not on his side in this time. Wait, no, yeah, it's Obito and Sasuke maybe who go and do that. All the while,
I think Obito retrieves Sasuke after his fight with Itachi, and then himself and Sasuke would take on Killer B.
Because remember, the battles happen on the same day, I'm pretty sure. So while he's like busy doing that.
Yes. No, it's not the battles. It's Jiraiya dies the same day as Itachi. Because It's not the pain arc. The pain fight happens after.
Oh,
the pain
right,
fight
right, right,
happens
right.
at the
Yeah, I'm
same
tripping.
time as B
Okay, so
versus Sasuke.
with
I
that being
believe.
the case, yeah, that's perfect. Obito and Sasuke go off and search for Killer B, and then meanwhile we have the whole pain like arriving to the village. Is there any other Akatsuki members? Like maybe Konan? No, she wouldn't because she's protecting Nagato. So yeah, it's literally just a one-on-one repeat of everything. So here we get the pain fight. And now Naruto
Except Jiraiya's
also has
alive.
Jiraiya to help him, plus Team Taka. How does this fight go?
I think at first I think they need to get surprise attacked, because Pain and Nagato, they're gonna realize how strong Jiraiya was. Like, he was way stronger than when he had trained them, and something's up. So when they go to attack the Leaf Village, I don't see them like announcing themselves and like looking for the Nine Tails. They know who the Nine Tails host is, like the 5th Hokage. They're like, we're here for the 5th Hokage. But first, let's clear the battlefield. Shinra Tensei. Just attacking the entire village. I could see Naruto and Jiraiya reacting with their incredible senses, but at that point, like it's such a massive attack. I don't even know how much they could defend from just that attack. I could see Naruto like tapping into KCM, like not KCM, sorry, that's way too soon. I could see Naruto tapping into like his Six Tails power with all of his strength, trying to push back the Shinra Tensei. Like, he could be using a giant Rasengan to push against it, and it would just get destroyed. The Rasengan would get obliterated or something by the Shinra Tensei. And then we have Pain like landing down. Naruto would definitely survive, but a lot of the village would be hurt and badly. This is where like he would be pissed. So we get Jiraiya coming in with Kakashi and Team Taka with Naruto. That's perfect, actually. There's 6 of them. They can each take on one of them. That's amazing. So we can have the Diva Path versus Naruto. We can have Jiraiya versus like one of the Technopath. We have Karin versus the healer, like the healer path. We have Kakashi versus the Tech Path. We have the like Animal Summon versus Jugo, or versus like Suigetsu or something. That would be sick. So we have kind of a 6-on-6 fight, and then we have Naruto taking hits from the Diva Path, because I think he's definitely stronger. Like, he's way faster, but he'd be trying to figure out what's going on with their bodies, because Jiraiya never understood the secret of behind how
honestly,
they were able to share
I don't
their
know if I
senses
can
or
even
anything.
see this fight
Like,
playing out
beyond
the way you're
just
saying
it being the Rinnegan.
In my head, like my head canon for this timeline is that like all 5 of them would be by Naruto's side, and they start fighting against the Diva Paths, all the while Naruto's just kind of standing still. Like, it's still sinking in. He's looking at the devastation, and he's just thinking to himself, this happened while I was Hokage. I'm a failure. I'm a fail. He hears the voices of everyone calling him a demon and like a cursed child and all that stuff. And then suddenly Kurama's voice hits him. You are a failure. This is when Naruto's eyes turn red, and he's just like, shut up, as rage completely fills Naruto, and he kind of taps into that state that he gets into in Boruto as a Kage, when he's like super enraged and like about to just destroy everything. Suddenly, Naruto would just start using like a corrupted version of Kurama's power, with Naruto like in the sealed world, pretty much making Kurama yield to his power in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, he's using a corrupted Nine Tails cloak. And so then, as like some of the members would be struggling, obviously not Jiraiya, Naruto would come in and just destroy them with one hit. Then, kind of just looking towards the path of pain, the Diva Path, he would say, "You're dead," as he would then kill him with one blow, and then holding onto the chakra receiver, he arrives right in front of Nagato in mere seconds. The scale of Naruto's power would be felt. Now, what happens?
Yeah. So I agree. That's sick. There's 2 plot holes though. One is that he can't, at this point in the timeline, he can't use Sage Mode and KCM, and the QB's power, because unless Kurama's cooperating, he can't sense he doesn't have the sensory abilities.
Let me
from
fix
KCM
it. So after Naruto's finished taking him out, so he kind of like calms down.
Yeah.
Jiraiya like puts his hand over his shoulder, and Naruto's eyes are back to normal. He's like, I'm good. He then uses Sage Mode to track him. Bro, Jiraiya and Naruto could encounter Nagato. Dude, what happens?
Oh my god. That would be insane. So we get Jiraiya talking with Nagato and Konan. I could see this being really emotional. Like, Nagato would say, You abandoned us, Sensei. After you left, Hanzo the Salamander, he dismantled everything we built. We were destroyed utterly. The Rain Village was turned into a massacre. Everyone and everything, it was all taken by him. The people, we all suffered. This world is nothing but pain, and all you do is propagate it, you shinobi. With the power of the nine-tailed beasts, I was going to make a perfect world. A world where I held the power over every nation, every village, and forced them to cooperate. That was my dream. Nagato, like, kind of spilling his heart out here. And we have Konan, like, Sensei, like, you don't know what happened to Yahiko. And then we could see Jiraiya being like, well, for one, like, I didn't use Yahiko's corpse as a puppet. You know, that was your guys' choice, but whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Jiraiya would, like, understand, like, sympathize with him, be like, I understand where you're coming from, Nagato. And he'd be like, no, you don't! You grew up in one of the most powerful villages in the entire world. You have never understood the suffering that we had to go through. And I think this is where Naruto steps in, and he's like, Nagato, like, I've trained with the pervy sage. He doesn't mean bad. And at this point, he's like, shut up! So we have, like, some emotional discourse here, and this is where we get Naruto talking about his own failings, right? So, like you were saying, Zether, we have Naruto like, I've always been called a monster, I was hated by my entire village, but I didn't want to destroy them, I didn't want to take over everything, I wanted to get stronger and be noticed and acknowledged by everyone. He smiles, like, puts his hand over his chest, and after those tuning exams all those years ago, I finally did it. I became strong and recognized, but I also lost some things along the way. He'd think about Sasuke, he'd think about everyone in the village who had been attacked by pain. He'd be like, this isn't the way. This cycle of hatred, we can end this. We can do this. I'll make this better. With your help, Nagato, we can do this. And basically Naruto Tag no Jutsu's him. I could see Nagato even using the Rinne Rebirth Jutsu. One other thing, like, I know this wouldn't happen because of how strong Jiraiya is, but it would have been really cool for that, like, scene of Naruto where he goes full out, like, Nine Tails, like you suggested. If Jiraiya had been killed by the Paths of Pain in front of Naruto, I think that would have been sick. And then that's how, like, we get to that scene where he forgives Nagato and Konan, and then that Nagato would use Rinne Rebirth and bring everyone back.
If Jiraiya was as weak as he was in canon, yeah.
But there's just no way. Yeah, there's no way, because Jiraiya is just way too strong. He's easily above Kage level. Anyway, so Naruto would use Rinne Rebirth. Konan would be a little salty about it and be like, okay, so I guess I'll take his eyes back. You know, I'll take Nagato and his Rinnegan back to the Rain Village. I don't see Naruto stopping them.
Once everybody would get revived, Nagato would probably turn to Naruto or Jiraiya and say, "You've trained him well. How I wish we could have spent more time with you, master. Maybe we wouldn't have turned out this way." This is when Jiraiya, like, smiling, would watch on as his student would do his final thing, and after resurrecting everybody that had gone injured, Naruto would watch on with a smile, realizing that he didn't fail the village. This is when Nagato, realizing that she's in the presence of the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, the person that they're gonna go capture, and a Kage, not just a boy who Tag no Jutsu them, not just somebody who had just fought them, but a Kage. She would go on to pretty much tell Naruto about Obito, in the sense of, like, his powers and to be wary of him. And Naruto, being a Hokage and, you know, having more of a strategist mind, would look to Jiraiya and both of them would nod. They'd understand that if they have any chance at killing him, it's with the help of Konan. So, dude, be real with me. Do you think that it's realistic to have a scene in which they kind of go along with Konan to help her in assisting during the Sea of Paper Bomb jutsu that she uses, where after Obito doesn't die, he's like about to kill Konan, the two of them would arrive? And then we have the final fight. Like, the entire story changes, yes, but bro, this is fire. Naruto's Hokage, and the changes have to be felt. And I feel like this is a massive enough of a change.
I think the biggest change is I don't think Naruto could go because he is the Hokage and the village was just destroyed, so he needs to like stay and protect it and make sure it's being rebuilt. But Jiraiya definitely can go with and help bury Nagato and like go with Konan. Please don't say anything sus in the comments. Anyway, we have Jiraiya and Konan maybe protecting the Rinnegan, and I think even just Jiraiya's presence would be big enough. Yeah.
I just don't agree with that, just because, keep in mind, Obito is the leader of the Akatsuki and the biggest threat facing the entirety of the world right now.
Yeah.
He's the dude responsible for what just happened. So I think, dude, that if we've seen Naruto leave the village in order to handle threats in Boruto, where obviously he's like a more different version of this character, this more mature like version of Naruto, dude, I just don't see a world where he doesn't go with Jiraiya. I would agree.
It's just they don't know that Obito is going to attack for the Rinnegan. Like Konan only knew that he would come for the Rinnegan after Nagato's death because she thought he might. There was no guarantee he was coming. And the thing is, the village is destroyed right now. If I would agree with you, like if the Leaf Village was chilling, like they had a barrier jutsu up, Shinra Tensei was like a light breeze, but the entire village has been nuked. Danzo and Orochimaru are still out there. And the Akatsuki is still on the prowl. So I don't see Naruto himself being able to go, but he can send his team. He could send Kakashi and Jiraiya. I think that would alone would be enough because we have, Kakashi there to deal with Obito.
I think so too. And interestingly enough, I think that here Jiraiya dies. This is where he kind of has to have that moment of like death where he lands the final blow on Obito, but it costs him everything. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, bet. But before we get into that, let me cover Naruto being in the village real quick. After the destruction of the village, Naruto would return, and he has like Konan and Jiraiya in his office. That was the first thing to be rebuilt, thanks to like the thousands of shadow clones just all over the village, rebuilding, cutting wood, and like helping the construction workers. The whole process is just going crazy. Meanwhile, Jiraiya and Konan would begin to talk about suspicions about the true leader of the Akatsuki. This is when Naruto would kind of just tell the both of them to be careful and would pretty much task Kakashi with helping Jiraiya in case anything could possibly go wrong. Kakashi just pretty much turns out to be kind of like an insurance type of player in the battle, and how perfect is it because he's the only counter for Jiraiya to even stand a chance. Even with his speed and strength, Obito's he's just a different monster with
Kamui. The biggest reason I think it makes sense, aside from like just us writing and knowing how the Kamui works, is because Kakashi is now like the leader of the Anbu in this version with Naruto as the Hokage. Like he's kind of like his guy, so he represents Naruto as like the shadow. He's basically the shadow Hokage. Like he's taken Sasuke's position, so Naruto would be like, I can't leave the village, Kakashi Sensei. I'm counting on you. Can you go with Pervy Sage and Konan and make sure that everything goes well? I don't know if the Akatsuki will really attack to go after Nagato or his eyes, but if you're there, I'd feel a lot better. Like, with you and Jiraiya Sensei, there's no way that anyone could take you guys down. Like, just to like have insurance, I think that would make sense. Just due to Kakashi's role. So I think this would probably be like the best fight. Like everyone talks about the Kakashi versus Obito fight. This Jiraiya Kakashi versus Obito fight with Konan would be sick. So I think it starts off kind of like in canon, where we have Konan using like the sea of paper bombs to try and take him out. And as proof that they attacked, Konan would send like a paper crane to where Jiraiya and Kakashi are located, like waiting in wait. And as Konan would think she'd taken him out, he would appear behind her. This is where we get Jiraiya like blitzing onto the scene like a burst of red, as Kakashi would be following in the shadows. Jiraiya would try and hit Obito with like a massive Rasengan, but Obito would phase through it using Kamui. Luckily though, Jiraiya's fast enough to grab Konan and get out of there, and using Konan's paper jutsu, she'd be able to recover her wind and her pace, and explain that she thought she hit him. But it was like he was impossible, intangible or something. At that moment, we have some like Jiraiya, Konan, and Kakashi fighting Obito. These are three of like the most strategic and smartest fighters in the verse, by the way. So this would be a hella entertaining fight. We could see them like moving through the city, Jiraiya and Kakashi testing different things against him. I could see Kakashi trying to use his Kamui on Obito and failing to actually hurt him because he can't. Like the Kamui doesn't hurt Obito, is that right? Like he can't like harm. Yeah. So he'd use it on Obito and it wouldn't do it. It would do nothing. He'd be like, what? Like, why is he not getting ripped apart? And at that point, we'd have him be like, ah, yes, Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja of the Sharingan. You are quite the thorn in my side. He'd like teleport behind Kakashi and try and reach through him. At that point, Kakashi would back up. We have Jiraiya using his perfect sage mode with his incredible speed, like getting in the way. I don't think so, using his lion mane jutsu. We have more paper bombs from Konan. The fight would drag on for quite a while until at this point we'd eventually have the 3 smartest fighters in the verse determine a strategy. It seems that accidentally, when Kakashi had been trying to use the Kamui against this villain, against who they think is Madara Uchiha, that when Jiraiya cast the Rasengan actually grazed him while he was using Kamui, giving them the same kind of hack that they discovered in the original war arc. So we have that being like the key factor that Kakashi and Jiraiya are focusing on to try and take down Obito. Do you want to like finish this dramatic fight? Because you had like a really cool scene in mind, I think, for how this fight finishes.
After this happens, we could kind of see Jiraiya and Kakashi pressing forward as wings would appear behind Jiraiya and Kakashi thanks to Konan, and they would begin soaring through the air. She would provide perfect support, and they would kind of be playing like a protect the egg kind of a situation, because her support is the only reason they're still in the battle. At any given moment, whenever Obito's attacks were about to land, Konan's ability to send paper bombs and paper attacks are able to pretty much lead Obito to turn intangible. So because we know that Obito can't attack and turn intangible at the same time, this pretty much heavily impacts the battle. And so Obito's kind of just stuck in a stalemate until finally the two of them end up comprising a strategy where Kakashi would kind of like use Jiraiya and teleport him into the common dimension, or we could kind of have a situation in which Kakashi teleports himself into it. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, where we get the original Kakashi versus Obito fight.
Here, Kakashi and Obito would basically go at it, and the two of their clash would leave a very, very weak Obito. But with Kakashi winning and Obito in this time being weakened a lot, we could then pretty much end up getting Obito returning to the real world, where a weakened Kakashi, after having weakened Obito a lot himself, would then end up like in the Kamui dimension not having enough chakra to save Jiraiya. It's at this point that Jiraiya, seeing Obito now there, would then try to attack him. But since the battle has dragged out for so long, Konan's like pretty much properties of being like the backup and the support character would start slowing down. Obito would eventually end up blitzing towards the direction of Konan to try to kill her. But here, Jiraiya would pretty much end up putting his life on the line. A smile would appear as he would then grab onto the hand of Obito, who currently like trying to like kill Konan, would then hold him tight. This is when a series of seals would then start spreading through Obito, as Jiraiya would say, "You like that? I developed this jutsu while I was in the time chamber." What? Obito, completely stuck, unable to move, would be like, "What is this jutsu?" To which Jiraiya would tell him that it's his undoing. Suddenly, Jiraiya would then proceed to use a jutsu to destroy Obito completely, and this jutsu would cause so much of his chakra to drain that it would either leave him in like a near-death state,
I think
it could kill him.
Like the Reaper Death Seal. Did you have Jiraiya analyze how the Time Chamber's seal works to make like a time cage? That is sick. Yep. That is so cool. Yep. Holy shit, that's incredible. What?
That's definitely what I was thinking.
That's definitely what you were thinking.
Bro, I did not think about that. I just gave him like a really intricate seal just because of the fact that like he had seen what seals can get to. So he kind of like develops his own like seal type jutsu.
That is so sick. He has like a time seal. That's incredible. That is such a cool ability. We're keeping that shit in. Anyway.
And it like saps him. It like saps him of all his remaining jutsu. He like grows old. And like he kind of dies. You know what I mean? Like he falls.
I could see him like spending his remaining time. Obito passes away. Jiraiya dies. We get a stalemate. They're done. But we have some final threats remaining. So Konan would cry, like we got Jiraiya out, Kakashi's like pretty tired and weakened. I think from here, with Obito being removed from the game, it's basically just Black Zetsu.
Bro, please, hold on, pause. Yeah. As Jiraiya is turning to a raisin, Konan would hold him going, Jiraiya, or Sensei. She would then hold him in her lap as Jiraiya, lifting his hand to her cheek, would say, don't cry. It makes your pretty face. It ruins your pretty face, Konan. She's like tearing up, and Jiraiya just smiles in her hands as he would then give her a note saying, give this to Naruto. Dang. He would then pretty much pass away, as then a few hours later, Kakashi would teleport back in once he has enough chakra to do so. And this is where we would get them returning to the village and giving Naruto the horrible news.
Yeah. Okay. I could see like this happen, so I'll cut in here. Kakashi would walk into the Hokage's office. Naruto, now having helped rebuild a majority of the village, would be in a good mood. They'd taken out, Nagato had helped rebuild the village, but they'd taken out Pain, the Akatsuki were being dealt with, and they even had one of them on their side. All that was left was Sasuke and Orochimaru's forces, and whatever was left of the Akatsuki. That is, until Kakashi entered the room, passing the note that you're going to read, because I have no idea what this note says, to Naruto, saying that he has something to talk with him about. What does the note say?
Oh, well, the note isn't exactly some sort of like crazy intricate thing. I'm thinking it's kind of just like a farewell to Naruto, where he gives him his secret seal jutsu that he had developed and would kind of like tell him that he had seen his death coming before the mission started, that he knew that he might have to resort to this. And he would tell Naruto that the greatest years of his life, funny enough, weren't spent writing his books or doing research, but it was by a blonde-haired boy side inside of a time chamber. He would pretty much read as he would crumple this note, and Naruto would start breaking down. This is when people in the village would rush to him going, Lord Fifth! And as Naruto would look at them, he would hold his hand out, smiling as he realizes that that's not what Jiraiya would have wanted. It's at this point that Naruto would continue rebuilding the village, and the world would find out about what had happened. And remember, B had been captured in this timeline because Obito did go. So this is when we would have the final thing of the series, like the final thing.
Black Zetsu.
The 5 Kage Summit.
5 Kage Summit, Orochimaru. Yeah. All right.
I think Black Zetsu might try to manipulate Sasuke because he sees him as his last like chance.
Black Zetsu is pretty much alone now. The Akatsuki has been essentially dismantled. All that's left is Danzo, Orochimaru, and like Sasuke's forces, and of course Black Zetsu. There's two ways I saw this going, and now that we're here, we're going to be taking the one where Sasuke kind of becomes the final villain of the story, where he's like taking on the Akatsuki's goal. Because Itachi, he's taken and inherited Itachi's will and wants to destroy the Leaf Village, which Naruto is now the Hokage, so there's definitely like completely opposite goals here. The other path I really thought would be cool would be if Black Zetsu stays in hiding. We have like no Sasuke versus Naruto yet, and Naruto kind of mimics Jiraiya with Orochimaru, where Jiraiya never saved Orochimaru and Naruto never was able to save Sasuke. And instead, when the stuff with the moon happens during what would be the Naruto the Last, we would have Black Zetsu reappear as soon as Toneri appears. So kind of like using Toneri as a vessel for Kaguya. That would have been interesting too. But we're not going to go that route. For now, we're going to ignore the last, but you guys kind of know how it would go from here. Although it'd be kind of cool to see if Hamura had his own time chamber on the moon. Anyway, back to the story. 5 Kage Summit. The Leaf Village was destroyed. Killer Bee has been taken by a rogue ninja, that being Sasuke, and the Akatsuki, and now Raikage A is pissed, and he's gonna hold it against Naruto, that Lord Fifth of the Leaf Village, to take his rogue ninja back and get him under control. As the announcement would happen, Naruto himself would attend the 5 Kage Summit, leaving Kakashi as the temporary Hokage while he's gone, and also after Jiraiya's funeral. I think Konan would still be alive, would probably join up with the Leaf Village, kind of taking like Kakashi's side. I'm not shipping them here, but you can do what you want, people. We have Konan and also like Team Taka is still alive, and they're pretty strong too. I think Naruto attending the 5 Kage Summit would have to pick 2 of his guards. Who do you think he picked to be his guards? Like, he can't pick Konan because she's still an Akatsuki, like an ex-Akatsuki member, and they're kind of still working on that. I think he would take, personally, I think he would take some of his Taka members. I could see him
That's what
taking...
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think he would take with Karin and Suigetsu. What do you think?
I think that he would take Suigetsu for sure.
Yeah.
But then I could probably see him taking Shikamaru just for his brains.
That would be good. That'd be cool. I like that idea. So with Shikamaru and Suigetsu, the reason I was pushing for Taka is because if Orochimaru stuff happens here, it's going to be really interesting with like if they choose to betray them, the Leaf Village or not, which, you know, they won't. But that's the idea. Give them another chance to like from what happened during part 1. But anyway, we have the 5 Kage Summit. Raikage is being hella aggressive. Like, my Jinchuriki was taken. That make the Cloud Village great again. That kind of thing. And then as he's saying that, like we have Gaara and Naruto who'd be frowning. Like they'd be kind of annoyed like with them putting the blame on their village. You know, Raikage, the Leaf Village was just attacked by the Akatsuki not too long ago, Gaara would say. Yeah, he's right. It's not like we weren't unable to defend ourselves either. What's the problem with you taking responsibility for your own people? Raikage would stand like punch his fist into the table. That's not the point! You brats don't get it! I could see Gaara and Naruto giving each other the side eye here, like, yeah, this guy's a boomer. Anyway, we have like the Raikages causing a scene. We have Mei, the Mizukage, basically flirting with all the young dudes. Like, oh my, there's some new faces around here. Onoki would be, you know, crapping dust and be like, "Where's Hiruzen?" At this point, we have this is when Sasuke would interrupt the 5 Kage Summit. This is a big thing. If Sasuke so if Sasuke took out Orochimaru here in this timeline already, Danzo joined Orochimaru's forces or tried to. What does Sasuke do about Danzo? Because he discovers
he would kill Orochimaru.
Yeah,
like obviously he let's say Orochimaru was still alive because I had killed him off before. Remember?
Yeah,
so
you
he
did.
was dead. So
what does Danzo do?
Would probably try to either like leave the village and go like join someone else. I just don't know who he would join. Maybe he'd be in talks with Obito, but now that he's dead, he literally has nothing else. Like he's literally just alone. So Sasuke either kills him before this or after this, because he's not going to be here. And then Danzo attacking the 5 Kage Summit would be kind of just like a anticlimactic, because this version of Naruto could handle Sasuke like without even like going full power. He could just treat him like a child, just like giving him some Beerus type spankings, you know. So when Sasuke would arrive, he'd be like on the top making his sick entrance. He's like, "Oh, you Kage, disgusting, meaningless things," and he's just like telling them like he's gonna destroy all like the Leaf Village and all that stuff. Like he's monologuing. Naruto straight up in the midst of everything, faster than anyone can perceive, just knocks Sasuke out. And he throws his body on the table, saying, "You happy now, Raikage? I'll set him straight."
I'll set him straight. Oh my god, that's insane. That's so funny.
Like the Raikage then just like stares at Naruto. He's like, yeah, like totally.
Of
he
course.
just kind of like switches his tune.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a guy who just realizes that the guy he was chirping at has a gun. So yeah. So he just like switches tunes immediately.
That's
and
so funny.
Naruto just kind of like walks out after that, like dragging Sasuke. And like,
I think Suigetsu
just
would pick
like
up Sasuke. Like how he was holding. If he's so funny because Suigetsu's was carrying him. Wow, you're way heavier than when we were kids. What was Orochimaru feeding you?
And then Shikamaru in the background. What a drag. He's like, if you were going to do that, Naruto, you should have done that from the beginning.
That's so real.
But yeah,
anyway,
with this happening,
what about Black Zetsu?
The whole story. Dude, what's Black Zetsu gonna do? Be honest. What's he gonna do? Who's he gonna control? What's he gonna control?
Black Zetsu?
The dude's gonna have to wait for the next 3 generations in order to enact his plans. He's gonna have to wait in
hiding to enact his plans. Oh no.
Yeah.
Guys, Black Zetsu's gonna be the main villain of Boruto. He's the main villain of Boruto. All the white Zetsu, there's gonna be even more of them. That's crazy. Okay. Well, I guess we just left him alive. Like, he's just chilling in the background like, damn, I gotta manipulate someone else to become the next Kaguya. Okay.
He's pretty much Cell if he never was able to control the androids. Like, he just has to bide his time and just sit there waiting for anyone to manipulate.
For the sake of ending the story, Sasuke's been taken down. He's been put into jail. Naruto's been trying to go and do therapy with him. He's pissed. He's like, this is like Orochimaru. You said I'd be stronger than him. Naruto's like, yeah, buddy. At this point, I could see, like, even Naruto might even, I don't know if he'd tell Sasuke about what he had actually done to train in the time chamber, but it'd be kind of cool, like, and poetic if he's like, you know, Sasuke, the only reason I got so strong is because I spent so much time training with my master Jiraiya. And he, like, talks to him about his last will. Like, I spent 3 years during those 2 months. And Sasuke's like, what the hell are you talking about? You spent 3 years and 2 months? That's some BS. And he's like, well, believe what you want. I think, like, to wrap this up, if we did cover the last content, I think Black Zetsu would actually, like, try and manipulate Toneri into becoming Kaguya because he's already an Otsutsuki. So that makes a lot of sense to me. So for the sake of viewers, we're not going to cover it. If Naruto, the last stuff does happen, for one, he'd be like a couple of years older than Hinata now. So he's like 20, what is he, like 23 and she's like 19. So it's still, you know, it's not weird.
It's not weird.
Like, the content will be pretty much the same. The only difference is he's like, I don't actually know. He's probably weaker now than he would have been because he never gets KCM. There's no Turtle Island. He never gets Six Pass.
Naruto would easily end up like,
but he's on that level, but just from physical stats. But like he's not. Exactly. He doesn't have those abilities. So he's still taking out Toneri because he has way higher physical stats. Like his base stats.
Maybe he could get those powers from like the from Hagoromo once like, he has like the Toneri fight because he's like, like I've seen you train in my time chamber, like, and he entrusts the full power to Naruto because Sasuke's kind of like unhinged, like he's still kind of like he can't be trusted. Yeah, like Hagoromo's like, it's a shame to see what happened to the Ashura path, but like
I mean the Indra path.
Indra path.
And Naruto, so the cycle of hatred just continues. Oh,
no,
sucks.
The cycle of hatred wouldn't like continue necessarily because Sasuke eventually is just like, all right, like I'm a side character, like I just gotta accept it.
He's like, fine, I'll bang Sakura. It's fine.
The dude eventually just kind of like goes on to lead a normal. He's like Vegeta. He just eventually gets like,
I'll never fight again.
He just hard-negged becomes a side character. Like, that's all that happens.
Oh, no.
Maybe we could even have a scene where Naruto makes Sasuke go to the Cloud Village to apologize. I don't know. Something crazy.
I think that's kind of where we get to the end of it. This was really fun to discuss. I had a great time. Zether, thanks for coming on the channel. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Very fun.
Dude, absolutely. This was so much fun.
If you guys want to see more of me and Zether interacting, go check out over on his channel. We recently did a What If Naruto Was Evil. It was really cool, so I definitely recommend going and check that out. Kind of the opposite of what happens here, where he relies way too much on Kurama.
I actually retitled it. It's now What If Kurama Took Over Naruto.
Oh, okay, I see. So What If Naruto took over, what if Kurama took over Naruto? Go check it out. He makes some great content over there. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we close out?
Absolutely. Go check out What If Naruto Had One For All. It's 100% going to be live by the time this video drops. So go give that a watch. Leave a like on the video. Show your support for that video because I worked so hard on it. And with that said, Weeb, close us off.
I'll say like, subscribe, hit those cool buttons, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.